All right, everyone. I did not feel like waiting the entire song today because I really want to read this chapter. So I hope you're all doing all right. Pleasure to see you guys. I know it's been a couple weeks because Oda was on a break, but we are here to read the peak, and I'm excited. I haven't heard a whole lot about this chapter, but I did see here from the super chat from Quanidin, you said very interesting chapter, 12 out of 10 in my opinion, which I mean, if you get over 10 on a chapter, I mean, that's pretty crazy. So I'm excited. You also asked, who's your favorite non-Straw Hat character that's also not Laboon? Noland for sure. Noland's arguably my top 5 overall characters, even with the Straw Hats. But I would also give an honorable mention to my boy Gyatz from Dressrosa. If you guys have been around for a while, you guys know that I love Gyatz. Gyatz is my favorite like background character. I don't know what the right terminology is, because Noland is like obviously not a main character, but he's like really important. You know, he's been mentioned several times. He's, you know, was really strong and all that kind of stuff, so he has like some more weight to him. Gyatz is kind of just like a guy, and so he's my favorite background character. So so yeah, big fans of both of them. And then also Kush Daddy, my guy, with the $2 super chat. Panama or Ain't Talking About Love by Van Halen. So before the stream, I saw you super chatted this right when I said be live in a minute. And I was like, well, you know what? I'll spend an extra minute reviewing these songs because I don't know either of them. And as soon as I started hearing Ain't Talking About Love, it came back to me because that one was on Guitar Hero. It might have only been the Van Halen edition of Guitar Hero, but I know that was on there and I recognized it. But then I listened to Panama, and I liked Panama a lot more, and that was also on Guitar Hero, which I didn't remember, but it was, apparently. I looked it up. So, I'm going Panama. Thank you, Kush Daddy. You know those are my favorite super chats. I look forward to it every single week. And then Knack Reacts with the Canadian 279. Like D-Stream, Nakama. Guys, if you would, like and D-Stream would be amazing. That would really help the algorithm. And, you know, I mean, Knack hasn't said it yet, and I'm not going to hold him to it. But I will say, most weeks, Knack usually has a bounty for the likes. So, you know, if he doesn't want to do it this week, that's more than fine. But I'm just saying, he usually makes good on those bounties. So, just saying. But, all right. And also, I also wanted to say, Sugar Rush, I saw you said, hope Dak goes live soon. Otherwise, I'll actually have to do my job. That's actually why I started the stream. I didn't want to listen to the music anymore. And I was just sitting here like, all right, like I need an excuse. And then I saw you say that, and I was like, all right, we're jumping in. We're getting into the chapter. Cliff, I know you're real pumped too. You saying hi to Sugar Rush? Cliff is he's real motivated about whatever's out the window, as he usually is. Also, Juvial Grace, you said, Dak, don't forget the guy who wrote Brag Men. That's true, Juvial. That is so true. That is also one of my favorite characters, as well as Mass Deuce, who's Brag Men's biggest fan. So yeah, can't wait for that. And then AD Straw Hat with the $2 super chat. Glad you're back, Dak. Like D stream. Hey, I'm glad I'm back too. I'm glad you guys are back. I think last stream I told you guys that I would have a stream over the break, and I didn't do that, and I apologize. I did message a couple people, and the schedules didn't work, and I could have gotten on by myself. But you know, one thing led to another, and that unfortunately didn't happen. But it will. And I also want to make another quick announcement. A very important stream series, I guess, is going to be starting soon. I don't have the exact dates because it's kind of out of my control, but I've mentioned this before, but in old school RuneScape, they are releasing the sailing skill. And I am a big RuneScape fan. I've been playing for a long time. And with it obviously being the sailing skill, and we're obviously all pirates here, I want to have a lot of streams whenever that skill releases where I basically, you know, am training sailing and going out and you fight these giant sea monsters and you do pirate stuff and you do all these missions. I don't know. It's piracy in RuneScape. And so whenever that drops, we're going to be streaming that a lot because my goal is to be the first one to get 99 on Ultimate Iron Man account, which is a certain type of account. But yeah, we are going to be starting that whenever it drops. The alpha is out now. We can actually play that after the stream if you guys want just to look at it, because it's the first time in 25 years of RuneScape history that we can sail on the open ocean freely. There's been a couple like sailing quests where you can sail, but it's like you don't really get to like freely move. But now you get to. So we can check that out later if you guys want to. But yeah, that will be happening eventually. The road to Pirate King in real life. Also, I see John Sherrod in the chat. JJ, what up, family? Where's Team Topman? There is no Team Topman. You are Team Topman, JJ. So I guess they're here now. Team Topman has arrived. And then last super chat, and then we will get into the actual reaction. Knack reacts, Canadian 279. Bounty is on. 100 likes to grow the fam. And I think what he means by that is the membership fam. So you guys heard him. Make sure you guys like the stream. Let's get to 100 if you guys wouldn't mind. That'd be amazing. I think we're at like 20 right now or something like that. It doesn't update live very well on Firefox. And if you guys know from the last few streams, Firefox really likes to fall apart towards the end. So since it's working, I'm not going to refresh. But yeah, Firefox has been having some trouble. But all right, guys, we're going to get started. And, I guess one other thing. I know I'm a broken record on this, and I apologize. But the mural video, that will be out this weekend. It is over halfway done already. The sponsors approved. Everything's all in order. Now the mural video can drop. Sorry it took me so long, but it is over an hour. You guys will like it. It's going to be a really good video, so be on the lookout for that. Apologize. There was a really funny comment on my last video. I think a couple people said it, but one guy said, the mural video is the Wano analysis that we made along the way. If you guys are big into the rest of the OP community, you'll get what that joke is about. But I heard you guys loud and clear. Don't worry, the mural video's coming. I know I'm a month late, but it's coming this weekend. But all right, time to get into the chapter. One Piece chapter 1143. I think the title was God's Knights. I saw, which I try to avoid the chapter title, but sometimes it's pretty hard sometimes. I'm getting just some One Piece music playing real quick. I see this amazing color page here, where the Straw Hats are on the Flying Fish. The Flying Fish riders have made their return, except I guess it's the Straw Hats who are the riders now. But regardless, that is really cool. I like that. I see Speed as the weapon over here. This is very cool. Luffy and Zoro. Of course, Chopper's on Zoro's back. I like that, because they're kind of homies. We see Brook back here. Looks like he's walking off the fish, which is cool, because he can obviously walk on water, so I kind of like that. We got Frankie and Usopp. We got Sanji here by himself. We got Nami over there by herself. Very cool. I like this. All right, here we go. Now we're into the actual chapter. Wait. I saw someone in the chat said, "Look at Jinbei." Oh, I missed him. Oh, dude, Jinbei. he's just swimming. That's funny. I like that. That Oda. This is one of my favorite color pages, actually. That's like a lot to, that's like because he's had so many good ones. I think that's a high mark to hit. But my all-time favorite is the DJ one. If you remember, like Sanji is I think it's Sanji is kind of like spinning the record, and they're all like at like a party. I think that was during Wano when that came out. That's my all-time favorite. But this one's really good too. I like this. I like the dynamic feel of it because they're racing and all that. That's very cool. All right, into the actual chapter, though. A sneaky move by the God's Knights. What's happening to the kids? Y'all, wait, stop. Ilva, Magu, Ronja, I'm not sure how to say it. They really are sleepwalking. What's this white cloth? Where are you kids going? Careful, Saul. That teacher warned us not to touch them, which was a really interesting thing last chapter. Which I guess I didn't say this earlier, but anyone who was wondering where my redacted video was at for the last chapter, Kevin, I did record it and I released it, but some of the audio was messed up and I couldn't really fix it, so I guess that one's lost to the Void Century. But that was one thing that I thought was really interesting from last chapter, was that whole comment about not touching the kids because the guy was hurt, so we're going to figure that out. The one that was covered in blood? I know, but it doesn't look like there's anything nearby. And we can't let them keep walking like this. It's dangerous. His hand is shaking. Let's just get him back to the... Oh, wow. So they got like this invisible thorn thing. So... I'm just going to finish this real quick. It hurts. What the... Saul, what happened? Did something stab you? I'm calling from Walrus School. So actually, that's really interesting. So I saw... I don't know if it was a Reddit post or if it was someone in the Discord, which if it was, somebody, deserves a W now, but I read it somewhere that somebody brought up the idea that the reason you can't touch them is because there's going to be thorns involved, because I think it was Summers had like a rose somewhere on his like outfit or something like that. And so people thought that that might be why there's some thorn element to it. And that seems to be the case. At least I mean, we're going to find out, but that theory came to mind as soon as I saw this. So shout out to whoever that was on Reddit or the Discord, wherever it was. Maybe it was multiple people and I saw the same theory both places. I don't know. But maybe a W for that person. All our students just suddenly fell into a deep sleep, and 9 of them are walking away, but they're still unconscious. Okay, Western Village. We have no idea what's causing this. The school children? My kid is there. That's not all. Mysterious beasts have emerged from the forest. Monsters? Are those tykes gonna be okay? The kids were heading towards the 8th branch. Telediction snail, only used within ELBAF. Oda has really been introducing a lot of new snails recently, which I don't know. I don't know if that should be something that we should be thinking about in a deeper level. Like, I don't know, like, is the origin of the snails something really important? You know, I remember, I think Dire Regulus was the first one I saw from a couple years ago to have a video about snails maybe tying to emu with like their power or something, which I know sounds crazy if you haven't heard it, but it was a pretty good theory, I thought. Or I don't know if Oda's just having fun with it and giving us just lots of new snails just to think about for fun, right? Because Wano had different ones. There was even the snow resistant one or the cold resistant one earlier this arc. There's a lot of different ones recently. So I don't know. I think that's very interesting. And it might just be Oda just, you know, showing just, you know, making every island individualized, I guess. But all of this on top of a fire? This is so sudden. Are they going to be okay? What's going on over there? The 8th branch? So they mean back there, right? Is everything okay? Arg, this is awful. My great-great-granddaughter Ilva goes there. Hold on, wait. So Ilva is Jarl's granddaughter? That's awesome. That's actually really cool. I love that. It kind of makes sense, but great-great-grandchild? You're all way too drunk. You can't lose your wits at a time like this. And we still have Brooke saying that while he's got his head situated there. Woo, ding dong, ding dong. Wow, that was quick. A Firesvaller, I don't know, has been dispatched. Go, Fire Brigade. We're counting on you. Okay. Are these like the firefighters of ELBAF? Huh? What's that? What? And so that's like the Draugr thing, I think. Dang. Okay, so it went right for him. What? Gee ha ha ha. Did you see that? The look on that giant's face when the thorns got him. Talk about priceless. Okay, so it is Summers, it seems like. So W for whoever said that. What was that expression again? Love is both roses and thorns, right? Beats me. You're such a stick in the mud, Gunko. The more love you have, the deeper passion's thorns take hold. I kind of like what he's saying here. Not that I agree with what he's doing, obviously, but Summers, he's kind of cooking with the dialogue. Even last chapter, when he said, like, to love is to hurt one another or something, like, Oda, you're getting a little poetic with this guy. It'll be even better when their folks show up, right? I love this game. And they're just sitting here just literally, like, eating like it's, you know, they're just having dinner. If they try to hug their kids, the thorns will rip them to pieces. The brats won't even want to look at them after that. They'll be balding themselves when they realize their folks died right in front of them. We gotta take these guys out. All right, I mean, like I said, you know, Summers might have been cooking with the poeticness, but you know what? We're done with this guy. No, someone's got to cook this guy. I need this guy to get cooked right now. Even murder can be moving. Saint Summers, thorn fruit, a briar man. Okay, interesting. So he's got the thorn fruit. That's... Can Green Bull probably do the same thing then? I mean, it looked like, you know, he had like a holographic. I mean, that's not the right word to put, but like a see-through thorn thing there, like a, you know, and as where Green Bull would have to have actual thorns. So there's obviously like a little bit of a difference, but interesting regardless that Oda picked that one. It'll be death by love. That's something to look forward to, am I right? Come on, you're too stoic. It's pathetic. Gunko, what route are you using? The central path. There are other thick branches. Okay, so what seems to be going on here, at least as far as this, you know, the monsters and all that stuff, at least my guess is that, so Summers obviously is creating the thorns, Gunko has the arrow to direct them to the ship, and so Killingham, because we saw him fall asleep last chapter, he obviously is tied to them sleeping. Now I'm curious if Killingham is also the guy responsible for the drawings coming to life, or if that is like an emu power thing. You know what I mean? Maybe we'll find out here. I don't know. Owl Library, Western Village, Harbor, Walrus School, Munch Munch. I love these diagrams that Oda makes. Love these. So earlier she said, the central path, there are other thick branches, but making them go that way will get them to the ocean clouds I saw by the village. To be in the center is to be vulnerable. Okay, you know what? Summer, now we can't have a poem every line. You know, you gotta relax at some point. You gotta be normal. That's a harsh reality to face, especially when you're too helpless to move. Summers, this needs salt. Salt? Okay. Well, here's the answer. St. Killingham, mythical dragon fruit model Killin, or like Kirin, right? Hey, Cliff, we're doing stuff right now, bud. Mythical dragon fruit model Killin, a dream materializing man. What a crazy power. And I gotta say, now that we know that this guy has a devil fruit, so he obviously has a human form that he can access, I think this is 100% the masked God's Knight from God Valley. I've mentioned this like 10 times now, I feel like. And whenever this guy first popped out, I was kind of disappointed because I was really banking on the masked guy popping up. But I think that's why Oda had him come in his zone form first, is that we didn't know it was him. And so now that he, you know, because he has the mask like on like his snout, right? Or something like that. Also, I didn't read what the super chat said, but I did see a couple supers popped up right when I got to this fruit thing. So I think you guys probably have some good theories on it. So we will get to that as soon as I finish the chapter here. But this is really interesting. So obviously they are using their powers in unison, and he is the one doing that part. So he's gonna dream of some salt and pull it out. Assbatch rock salt, ever the connoisseur. You can wake up now. See, that's crazy. So now we're literally bringing dreams into reality here, which is, I mean, that's just insane. That's the ability you use to pull those dream demons out of those brats' heads, right? And I gotta say, I love how Oda just did that, because like, as the writer, he has to, you know, have obviously the characters in the story explain things so we understand, right? Because otherwise it's like a narrator box kind of deal. So he's like having, you know, the God's Knights explain it. But it's funny to me the way he did it, because like obviously Summers knows what Killingham's powers are, right? Like he obviously already knew that he did that. And I just think it's funny that Oda had him ask this almost rhetorical question just so we readers knew. I think that's just kind of funny. Down here, there is a translator's note. The Japanese used MMA, pronounced Muma. This could be a reference to both a Pokemon and monster in Antpin Man. Muma, is that like... Muma? I'm trying to think of what Pokemon, like Moo... I can't remember the exact name of the Pokemon, but I can see it in my head, the little pink floating thing. Not Mew, although I guess Mew may also connect to it. But it's like Musharna, right? Isn't that the Pokemon? I'm going to look it up real quick. Yeah, Musharna, right? And then it evolves into something else, I think. Or no, it evolves from Muna, and then evolves into Musharna. But the reason that I bring that Pokemon up here is because that Pokemon has, like... Well, not only the name having Moo at the start, but it also has, like, a little... It's like dreaming. It's asleep and has, like, a little dream cloud coming out of it. So that's interesting. Anyway... Of course, I can use it multiple times simultaneously. This salt is perfect. I agree. It's interesting that the salt they got was such like a high quality salt, apparently. That's really interesting. That ship docked at the village is meant for giants, but we should be able to make our own rainbows with a painter. It's delicious. Oh, see, now she's reacting. What a peculiar culture. So when we've done that, we just return to the Holy Land and... What? That's it? This game was way too easy. I'm stuffed. Hey, is this 0 calories? Well, it was a dream meal. So of course it's calorie-free. Summers, don't let your guard down. Wait, hold on, wait. It was a dream meal, so it's calorie-free. So the implication there is that because it came from a dream, it's not necessarily real, and thus it doesn't have any calories in it. And so this goes back to what we learned in Egghead, right? Whenever we met the holograms, and Atlas is like, what's real and not is a tale as old as time. But the thing about that is like the holograms, like, you know, weren't necessarily real, but they also were because you could wear the gloves and make them physical. I don't know. This is interesting. Oda's merging a lot of important points right now, for sure. No doubt. Trouble is brewing. I saw a certain pirate ship. Excuse me. I saw a certain pirate ship anchored at the village. Emperor Straw Hat Luffy is on ELBAF. So this is a really interesting point, because I had a couple questions for the last redacted video, which, again, sorry that the audio got messed up. But in that video, I think it was Mr. Bushido, but somebody had a question for us that was literally asking, like, do the Gods Knights know that the Straw Hats are here? And it's an interesting question because if you go back to the end of Egghead, the government knew that the Straw Hats were going to ELBAF because literally the Vice Admirals are talking to Saturn like, please let us chase Luffy to ELBAF, please. And so they knew that. But the fact that the Gunko here is, you know, just coming to this realization is just interesting, the way that the information flowed or didn't flow there, right? Because, like, you would think that she would know. So that's interesting. Huh, hey, aren't the kids heading straight for the fire? It spread faster than I expected, but no matter. If they die, we'll just have the next batch march over. Bro, we need to just take out these Gods Knights right now. Oda, I love that you're making hateable villains, and I will always appreciate that. But I hate these guys maybe too much, which I hated Saturn a lot too. I mean, they're all in the bottom of the barrel, but... Loki, you no good. Go ahead and try something, Hajrudin. Doga ha ha. That laugh is interesting. Doga ha ha ha. There's no way you can stop me. None of you can even lift Ragnir. Okay, so is that like a, you know, an Excalibur type thing, like from Usopp a couple chapters ago? We can't let you turn anyone else in the Sun Realm into a victim. Oh, there will be victims. The flames are already spreading. Now choose. Surrender your weapons and let me go, or... Hey, what's the deal with this monstrous giant? He's injured. If we don't help, he'll... Will you let everyone die? I'll slaughter every last weakling in the Sun Realm. If you don't answer. This is intense. I love this. Wait, we get it. Don't fall for it, Hajrudin. Rowanoa Zoro? I guess there's no choice. I promised if you did anything, I'd drop you. Alright, so we're about to get a Luffy versus Loki clash here, I presume. Wait, Straw Hat. He'll zap you if you get near. Well, the fact that, you know, Luffy is rubber is going to help here, but... I gotta say, that's a crazy Enel parallel, right? I know I and tons of other people have been talking about Enel popping up sometime this arc, and the fact we're retreading this, where a guy thinks he's a god and has electric powers and all that, I mean, yo, Oda, I love it. There's no turning back from a crime like this. Just stop, Loki. Think of the children. Luffy, are you gonna let him off easy? His wounds are about to open up again anyway. Gum Gum. Damn, I guess I lose this round. Arm balloon. And Loki's down. So it's because he's hurt so bad, but that's kind of peak, just the way that Oda did all that. He was already at death's door. Just standing was taking all the strength he could muster. So the fact he was like picking up Ragnar and swinging it even when he was in that situation is a pretty that's pretty crazy. It was a nice try. He probably planned on finding somewhere to pass out safely after he escaped. I doubt he'd have made it, given the blood loss. So they kind of saved Loki by doing that in a way, which is a cool twist too. Now it's up to you whether you want to treat him or let him croak. I have unfinished business with him, but he was covered in blood. It certainly looks like someone tried to kill him, and that's a separate issue from his prior crimes. It's just a hunch, but could it be? Is he thinking about the fake red hair situation, probably? Hajrudin, I have a request. Please save his life. I don't care what kind of person he is. I can't just watch him die. I mean, that's Luffy for you, right? I mean, that's kind of been him the whole story. So, I mean, I kind of like that. I feel like it's kind of to be expected just because, you know, Oda can't have Loki die this early. But I do like that kind of moment for Luffy. I do think that moment, like, the fact that Zoro is kind of sitting there, kind of, I wouldn't say, like, being the antithesis to this, but he's kind of like, you know, like, he almost killed Loki originally. He's been the one pointing out multiple times, like, oh, he's almost dead. He's very close to dying. And and we kind of saw at the end of Egghead when Zoro said, like, it was pathetic that Luffy was upset over Vegapunk dying. We kind of have the same thing here a little bit, where Luffy is, again, not wanting people to die, or, you know, he be kind of like he's saying, like, I can't just watch him die. He would probably be upset if Loki died. And so I think that's an interesting thing that Oda has introduced, that you know, like the Zoro being the death guy and Luffy being the living guy. I guess that's a really weird way to put it, but like Luffy doesn't want people to die, where Zoro's always been so closely tied to the underworld. Even like he can't die, right? Like, remember Arlong holding him up, looking at the scars, like that whole thing. So it's very interesting, I think, the way he set that up. How long for a full recovery? Several months at least. If we're serious about treating these wounds, he shouldn't be sleeping in a place like this. They won't be so forgiving at the village. It'd be a one-way ticket to execution. I don't mind staying here. Is that Loki? So is he awake again? Their hatred really runs deep, but I guess we are talking about unforgivable garbage. Wow, those horns are the real deal. It's the mark of the ancient giants. Our father Harold was the same. Oh, there he is with the horns. That's crazy. That's super cool. And Hajrudin's like having a flashback. You are both my precious sons. I want you to get along when I'm gone, and do what you can to support ELBAF. How can I call such a weak runt my big brother? You're just a bastard. You'll never be Dad's true heir. Damn. I hate Loki now. Hajrudin, everyone knows you got Mom's dirty blood. Or everyone knows your mom's got dirty blood. I guess same thing. Damn. Hajrudin. The character moment for Hajrudin here is crazy. I'm going to go back and look at this one more time. I love this flashback. Loki... So Loki's had the eye bandages forever, right? And that's really interesting. Like, because in my mind, if you go back to the legend of Loki in Norse mythology, Loki has his eyes like bandaged up, or like because they're scarred from venom dripping onto his eyes while he was tied up. And I thought that's where Oda was going to go with it. Like, after his crimes, you know, they couldn't really do a whole lot to him, so maybe they like just blinded him as one of the only ways they could really, you know, limit him or something. But he's had the bandages since the very beginning, so I don't know if that means he has special eyes, or if it's just Oda just making a design choice. Like, maybe Loki's been blind. I don't really know, but... very, very interesting. And so we see Hajrudin here, obviously upset over those memories of Loki being a jackass. Whoa, hold it. Calm down, Hajrudin. There's no way I can ever forgive him. He insulted my mother and killed our father. Do it already. This weeping warrior thing has gotten old. Damn, this is that's moving, man. I love the Oda. I love this. 100%. This is great. You're so drunk on all this personal drama. You can't even see the forest for the trees. Don't tell me you're really like the rest, thinking I actually killed our father in cold blood. You don't really buy it, do you? What's Loki saying? Yo. So basically what we got here now is we're finally getting to the truth of this Loki and Herald situation, which I think all of us have been speculating on, and it seems like what's happening, and you know, we'll see what the truth is, but it seems like what Loki's hinting is what a lot of people have been talking about in the community, which is Loki didn't really kill his dad. He's just being framed for it. Or even if he did, he may have been forced into it. Maybe Herald was bad, right? A lot of people have been talking about theories that what the story we're being told is not the full story. And it seems like that's definitely the case, which I think a lot of us presume, but I don't know. I can't wait to see this answer. Don't tell me you're really like the rest, thinking I actually killed our father in cold blood. And so it seems like what he's hinting at is that he didn't kill him at all. Not just that Herald was bad or whatever, but that he didn't actually kill him at all. And so I'm really wondering now, you know, was it Shamrock? Or even better, could it have just been Shanks, actually? You know, I think that would be an even crazier twist. I'm not saying that is the case, but, you know, we have a lot to learn about everyone in this arc. And so that is super cool. This was a crazy chapter, guys. This chapter felt like it was the longest one I've read in a long-ass time. And I don't feel like it was all just dialogue. I feel like there was a lot, but there was also just a lot of just stuff happening that, you know, that I had to think about. And I don't know, I felt like this chapter was super long. Great chapter. Quentin, you said earlier that it was a 12 out of 10. I try to be very judicious, so I wouldn't give it a 10, but this was a great chapter. I mean, 8.5, I don't know, 9. I mean, it's really tough to grade because, you know, with the mural chapter and all that stuff, but dang, this is a really good chapter. We got to see Herald with the horns, which is that alone is really cool. I also love his little cloak thing with the points on the ends. I bet that's an Oda, because they have horns, that's probably why he chose that for him, because it's kind of like, you know, there's pointy things on his clothes too. I like that. I want to know about Loki's bandages though. Because that was something that I thought was cool, but I just assumed it was going to be something relative, like I said, with the Legend of Loki or something. But now that he's had it since he was a kid, you know, I think that's like why, you know, I don't know. All right, well, great chapter. I love that one. Let's go ahead and get to some of these super chats. I'm sure you guys are cooking. Also, I see Knack here with the gifted memberships, which Knack, you did gift those early. We did not hit 100 likes yet, but I appreciate you for the 10 gifted memberships regardless. Welcome everyone to the Afro Gang. I appreciate you, Knack. Let's go ahead and get to 100 likes though for Knack, because he put the bounty up and he delivered the the payment for the bounty before, but now we got to do our end of the bargain, I mean, imagine if Cross Guild did something like that. You know, imagine if they paid out the bounty early and we're like, all right, we paid you for taking out Garp or Akainu. Now go do it. You know, that's what we got to do. We got to go take out Garp, and you can only do that by liking the stream. Also, Knack, you said like the stream. 40 more to go. Knack, seriously, thank you very much for growing the community. I appreciate you. Welcome everyone. And also, I just want to mention this real quick. For all the TCG giveaway people that are wondering when the next one is, today is actually Royal Blood release day, so the new set for One Piece TCG came out today. I have not gone down to the card shop, but I will be doing that to get a box, and I'm hoping that if I can get one from them, then the giveaway will be this weekend, and I'll post about that soon. If I can't get one from them, then it'll be next weekend. I'll just have to order it and get it delivered. That's kind of the main thing. I couldn't really get it until it released, so we'll figure that out. So and those giveaways are for members, so wanted to mention that in case anybody's interested. So thank you, Knack, seriously, for growing the community. I appreciate you. But let's see here. Saw that one. Saw Knack reacts. Steve Johnny, thank you for following over on Twitch. I see you chatted a couple times also over there. Well, Steve, you said, hey, my headphones aren't working right now. Can you chat instead? I cannot chat instead. And I will say I had someone last week say the same thing. And I don't know if this is now a scam thing that's going on. I don't know what the scam would be. I don't know what me talking would do. But I had someone say the same thing. So I got to say that sounds like some bot activity. But thank you for following nonetheless. Lonely Mage with the $5 super chat. Thorns, Sleeping, and Dragons. The Holy Knights are Team Sleeping Beauty. Hey, that's crazy. Maybe that's what Oda was going for. That's really interesting, actually. I didn't even think about that. That Lonely Mage, that's a really cool idea, dude. Honestly, because like, I saw a theory which I didn't necessarily agree with in its entirety, but I agreed with the sentiment or where they were going with it. But they brought up that Oda could be going for like an Alice in Wonderland thing or a Wizard of Oz thing, or I can't remember, but just talking about how Oda might be playing off of some of these like really popular legends or even like Disney movie type things. There were some other good examples, and this is something that Oda does do, but they were bringing it up in context of ELBAF, and that's why I was thinking like, well, Big Mom was more of the Alice in Wonderland thing, whatever. Like Oda's done this a lot, and I was wondering. And basically what I was wondering is like, okay, you're onto something, but what story is he using? And what you said with Sleeping Beauty, I honestly, that's a really good tie-in here. And so, you know, I don't know if that's the only one or how much we can extrapolate from that, but I do agree with that. And I do want to start thinking more about what stories Oda's using, because like I said with Alice in Wonderland, I can't remember the reasons for in the person's post where they brought this up, but in Whole Cake, I thought it was pretty obvious. And the thing about Whole Cake is Big Mom is kind of the reason why Whole Cake feels like Alice in Wonderland. And Big Mom obviously has deep ties to ELBAF, and she has, you know, the soul fruit, which really gives rise to the homies and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, her being involved here and maybe having some kind of play into this Disney, you know, whatever kind of situation going on, I could definitely see that. So I think you're cooking with the Sleeping Beauty stuff, Lonely Mage. I think you're absolutely cooking. Kush Daddy with the $2 super chat. Sommers is growing on me. Sommers for Nakama. You know, Kush, I was agreeing with you until what did he say? Let me go up there and find it. There was one thing he said that really. Oh, was it? No, not the even murder can be moving. It was it was the whole yeah, we'll hurt the parents when they're hugging their kids, and then then the kids can't even look at their parents. That you know, Summers lost me a little bit with that line. You know, Gunko over there being stoic. I'm like, you know, Gunko, like you're losing less points than the other ones are, but I still say Killingham's my favorite. Although if Killingham is the masked God's Knight, it's like hard to say quickly. If he is that guy who's from the House of Lambs and now he's here helping all these kids get taken to the ship, which I think is what's happening, screw that guy. Like you want to talk about bottom of the barrel terribleness. I mean, I don't know enough about Summer's backstory. Not that it really matters, but swear to God, if he's doing the same thing to the kids that happened to him, that's crazy. Mr. Bushido, member for 26 months. Thank you, Mr. Bushido. You think the salt is connected to the Water 7 filler salt? That's it. That's an interesting idea. If you guys don't know what he's talking about, in a filler episode during Water 7, there's basically like a I mean, it is a filler episode, but it does kind of fit within the context of what's going on at that point of the arc. But basically, Sanji finds this chef who's like making food on the side of the street or whatever, or I can't remember the whole story, but basically he finds this chef. The guy tells him, every time Aqua Laguna happens and the water dries up, it leaves salt from the all blue on top of the roofs of all the houses. So Sanji and this guy go on the roofs and start taking the salt, and the salt tastes amazing. It's like the best salt in the world or whatever. Which I'm like, okay, well, Sanji, and again, it's a filler episode, but I've always thought, like, Sanji, just put 2 and 2 together, man. If salt from the all blue is in the water from Aqua Laguna, that means the water from Aqua Laguna is coming from the all blue, and then you could connect all the dots and find the all blue that way. But regardless, that's a whole other discussion. So what Bushido is talking about is, like, maybe this salt from the all blue, this great salt, this perfect salt, maybe that's what they found in this dream. And I could honestly see that. And not even that Summers would know about the all blue, or that you know, is even a thing, but it's just that, like, he probably dreamt of the best salt in the world, which might be the all blue salt. So they might come to the same point without even knowing. But I think that's really interesting, Bushido, that you thought of that. I thought where you were going to go with that at first, because maybe somebody else will comment this, but one of the first things I thought is, like, hey, remember in Thriller Bark that salt was how we beat the zombies? And now we have these, like, giant mythical creatures being spawned out of nowhere that we probably don't know how to defeat. Now, as I brought up in my last video, if you guys saw that, which if you guys haven't seen the last video, I highly recommend you go watch it, especially after this chapter. But I bring up in that video that, you know, basically there's probably a special trick to actually defeating these things. Because yes, Saul did go and, like, beat down one of the snakes, but that snake was kind of small, and we haven't really seen if it's fully defeated. Like, maybe it'll just regenerate or whatever. So we have a lot to see about how the powers work. And I would imagine that the kids are going to have to wake up, or there's going to have to be some special something to defeat them. And so it reminds me of the salt, because that was like the special trick to defeating the zombies. There's probably a special trick that we need to beat these things. And I think it's really interesting that Oda had salt be one of the first things appear from this guy's dream cloud thing. You know, I think that, to me, I think that carries some weight, in my opinion. Because the zombies remind me a lot of what's going on here. Because I know these aren't zombies, but the fact that, like, these kids are sleeping, and if you think about whenever, like, Shadows got taken, you did fall asleep for a couple days, and they needed you to stay alive. Like, you couldn't just die. They had to keep you alive so they could use the Shadow. So it's kind of the same thing here. Like, you're falling asleep, and again, I bet you need to be alive for the dream to stick around, because, like, those kids are sleeping. If they died, then their dream would end, theoretically. So yeah, I don't know. A lot of interesting stuff there, I think. Lonely Mage said Usopp will defeat all the monsters. I agree with you. I don't know if you saw the last video, but that is what the video is about. Although, I want to make this clear. I did say it in the video, but I just I guess for argument's sake. The one thing is that these are kids' drawings, and kids' drawings are typically not as accurate as the real thing. And if we look at Kanjuro, you know, the better drawing you did, the more stronger the thing was. The closer you are to the real thing, the more like the real thing it'll be, I think, is probably the logic. And so with these kids' drawings not being that accurate, they're probably a bit weaker. So I do think that later this arc, we're going to have much scarier things spawn into existence. And I think Usopp will be central to defeating all of that. And I just say that because these things, like I said with the snake, we might be able to defeat these things kind of easily because they're not that strong. But if they regenerate, then we'll need the special sauce. If they go to the library and get, like, the textbooks that might have like the actual pictures of these demons, because, like, for a kid to draw Fenrir, he probably saw an image of Fenrir in a book at some point, and that's why he had that image in his head, right? Or, like, he may have saw it in his dream, but even to see that image, you probably had to see it elsewhere. And so I'm sure there's going to be real pictures of these things, or more accurate pictures, I should say, and then those might be even stronger. So I think we got a lot to find out about these drawings for sure. Lonely Mage with the $10 super chat. Thank you, Lonely Mage. I believe Harold manipulated his sons and the entire nation. Loki somehow discovered the truth about Harold and is trying to stop Harold's plans from coming to pass, but nobody believes Loki. Yeah, I love that. Because we know that Harold, I almost forgot his name for some reason. Harold was, kind of like a globalist, like he was, bringing global trade, and ELBAF was stopping, stopping being, that's weird English, but didn't want ELBAF to be so like isolationist anymore. Didn't want them to be kind of like barbaric and savage in a way. They kind of became more sophisticated, you know, had more trade, learned more about the world, all that kind of stuff. And I think the lesson is going to be that, you know, a lot of that is good, but not all of it is good. And I definitely think there's something bad about what Harold was planning next. And so I agree with you that Loki probably stepped in before this next phase of his plan, because that next phase would have maybe gone too far or something to that effect. Now, I'm not sure what that phase would have necessarily been. I have a feeling, a sneaky bad feeling, that it's going to be something again with the ELBAF children, because basically, you know, you think about Mother Carmel, that's already been a long ploy in ELBAF, that like these kids get trafficked through ELBAF because of that orphanage. And then you think about Kaido, right? He was also kind of trafficked. Now, we don't know that Kaido is for sure Harold's son. I think that theory is rock solid, but, you know, until we know that for sure, you know, I guess it's anyone's opinion, but I think that's a pretty likely thing. And Kaido got trafficked, right? He got sold off to the government from Vodka Kingdom. And so I think Harold was probably going to start selling off all the kids from ELBAF to the government to probably be God's Knights or to be Marines or to be whatever. And I think Loki was like, all right, enough's enough. And I think that's a really good idea because, excuse me, because remember, Loki was literally arguing with Shamrock and Gunko, like, I'm not going to be a God's Knight. Like, no, I'm good. I don't care that they get to be a celestial dragon or whatever. That would be a really cool plot line to then learn later, like, oh, Loki's always been about that business, right? Like, Loki's never wanted people to go be God's Knights and become celestial dragons, but Harold did, and that's why, you know, Harold died. And now, I think that would be a good justification for killing Harold. Like, hey, I'm protecting the children of ELBAF. You're a bad dude. You have these imperialistic endeavors, whatever. I think that alone is enough. But kind of like Loki's saying, maybe he still didn't even kill Harold. Maybe like one of the God's Knights did to kind of further that plan, even in a way, right? Like it could even be that Harold was maybe thinking about it and then decided not to, and then the God's Knights killed him for that or something. You know, there's a lot of different ways that could play out. But I definitely agree with you, Mage, that on some level, Harold kind of misled people or manipulated, like the way you said. I definitely agree with that. I think he, again, some of that globalist stuff is good, but some of it's bad. And I think, you know, kind of like a sleazy politician, he probably was talking about why, you know, the good things he was doing were great, but then wasn't talking about the bad sides to it. And Loki may have been like, hey, this stuff's about to get too bad, and, you know, who knows where that goes. So yeah, I love where you're at on that, Lonely Mage, for sure. Knack reacts, like the stream, 40 more to go. Where are we at now? Looks like we're at 70 something, 73. Guys, if we can get to 100, that would be amazing. I would, I mean, well, Knack already gave the bounty, so, you know, I mean, we already got that, but you know, hitting 100 would be dope, even just for the algorithm. Also, I think I just saw another set of gifted memberships. Saint Constantine, my guy, with the 10 gifted memberships. Thank you so much, Saint Constantine. Welcome everyone to the Afro Gang. I see Tiante's in there, Straw Hat Koofy's in there, Khalifa, Danny, Steven, Sahardid, I'm sorry if I'm butchering that name, Eternal, London, Chris, Dark Chaos, everyone, welcome to the Afro Gang. Thank you, Saint Constantine. W's in the chat for Constantine. Seriously, thank you so much. Constantine, you got any theories or something you want to share? I always feel bad with the gifted memberships because you guys are donating a lot, but they don't let you submit like a message with it. So Saint Constantine, if you got any questions or thoughts you want to share, let me know, and we will talk about it. I owe you. Thank you so much, seriously. Let's see, AD Straw Hat with the $2 super chat just to say at Knack, thank you so much. Seriously, AD Straw Hat, thank you for super chatting. Knack, thank you for just being so generous with all these donations. Seriously, thank you. Thank you for helping grow the community. That's amazing, Knack. Seriously, you are, excuse me, you are stealing the show today. Thank you very much. I don't know. I woke up feeling great, and I don't feel sick or anything. But throughout this discussion, my throat has really started feeling kind of rough. I did walk my dogs right before this, and it is springtime now. The weather is. I was out in a t-shirt and shorts today. I didn't have to wear pants or a jacket, so Ohio is getting warmer. But that also means allergies, so I think I'm getting cooked a little bit here. But thank you guys very much. Seriously, thank you. CB Maddie with the $5 super chat. Really good character moment for Hajrudin. I agree. Before I even read the rest of what you have to say, I just got to say, Hajrudin. Again, I don't know what's going on with my voice, but Hajrudin has skyrocketed up my rankings in terms of like how much I care about him. And look, a lot of the characters in One Piece are great. Hajrudin, there was already reasons to like him before this, but like kind of like the rest of the Grand Fleet, I'm not like super attached to them. Like Leo's a little bit different because we had the whole Usopp thing really makes him stand out. But with Hajrudin, I didn't really feel that same kind of connection with him, and also like Luffy one-shotted him, so I didn't really have like a lot of faith he would be like this massive, important, cool character later. But he has had some really good moments to start this arc, I gotta say. Hajrudin has had a great arc so far. The future King of the Giants killing a wounded man, the opposite of the Warrior's Code. Very interesting. That's cool. That I didn't even think about that. He wants to be the King of the Giants, and he's kind of sitting there, thinking that he might kill Loki, but obviously there's like a personal thing there. And I'm not saying it would have been okay or that it would have gone against their warrior code or whatever, but I think that it's just Oda's just making a very interesting paradigm where Loki is kind of this super brutal, savage, warrior type guy, and Hajrudin wants to be the King of the Giants, but he's probably the nicer, more sentimental of the two. But at the same time, here he is about to kill Loki, right? Like that mix of things where one is supposed to be the brute, one's kind of supposed to be the good guy, even though he wants to be a warrior and a king and all that stuff. That's kind of the situation, because he's got his mom's dirty blood or whatever, which is like, that he's not like an ancient giant or what have you. I think it's just a really interesting paradigm. Yeah, I agree. It's super interesting. I'm so ready for Hajrudin to keep growing this arc. And I gotta say, I didn't really remember how good the Hajrudin and Mach Vice fight was, because, who cares about Mach Vice anymore? But if you guys go back and rewatch the Hajrudin and Mach Vice fight, it's kind of peak, I'm not gonna lie. Like, whenever Mach Vice comes down, and I forget what he said, but like 10,000 ton, whatever, some super heavy thing, and Hajrudin, like, all of his bones are breaking, and he still sent Mach Vice flying. That one hits me a lot harder now. Whenever I had to go get that clip for a video to, screen record it or whatever to put in a video, I was like, dang, I did not remember this being so compelling. So yeah, Hajrudin's flying up my my rankings here for sure. Lol Sauce McGee, member for 26 months, my guy. We need to play some Marvel Rivals. I know I'm a broken record, but we need to. Liked you stream in based Lonely. Dak Afro Low. I assume you're talking to Lonely Mage. The Lonely Mage is always based. Lonely Mage, whenever he super chats, he's bringing the sauce every time. And also Lol Sauce, thank you very much. Member for 26 months. That's crazy. It's amazing that some of you guys have been supporting me for over 2 years now. That's seriously, I don't know, it sounds cliche, but I never thought I'd be sitting here saying, thank you for supporting for 2 years. I don't even know what that's a human emotion I never thought I would access. You know what I mean? That's like something that I feel I'm so grateful for it. It's seriously, thank you guys. I don't know what else to say. There's probably a couple dozen of you that have been supporting for that long, so it really does mean a lot. My first reaction was chapter like 1064 or something like that, and so we're coming up on like my 100th chapter reaction, which is just crazy. So thank you guys for real. Also Alfred Dobrito, I think I'm saying that right. My mic is in the way of where your name is. Alfred Dobrito 19. Thank you for following on Twitch. I thought that said Alfred Dorito, which I was going to say, I got some flaming hot Doritos downstairs that are probably going to get eaten during the Cavs game later, which the Cavs have lost 3 in a row, by the way. That hurts. I will say we're coasting at this point in the season. For anyone who cares about basketball talk, Cavs have lost 3 in a row for the second time this year. We have 13 losses all year and three streaks. So whatever, it is what it is. We're gonna win tonight. We're gonna beat the Suns. JR Ryder 203 with the $5 super chat. This unable to lift Ragnar claim might hint at Hajrudin getting it. Maybe the mock Vice fight was showing Hajrudin gaining the required strength. I gotta say, JR Ryder, it is crazy that I just talked about the mock Vice fight right before this. I swear I did not see this comment at all, and I brought that up in like literally minutes ago. That's crazy. But I love what you're saying there. See, because whenever he said that, the first thing I thought of was Usopp because of the, Excalibur comment from a couple chapters ago and the whole Usopp getting a giant hammer idea that people have been floating around, which I could see. As I've said, I don't want that to be his permanent upgrade because he's a sniper, and if he just sucks at sniping, then, I mean, that's just kind of sad for Usopp, I feel like. But hopefully, he gets some cool moment. But what you're saying here with Hajrudin, that could be even cooler. Like, what if Loki... I mean, it could happen even now while Loki's passed out, because they said it might take months for him to heal, which I gotta say, it is not gonna take months. Because we've seen this all the time with, like, Chopper and Zoro, right? Chopper will be like, all right, Zoro, don't move for a month and you'll be all healed. And then, like, the next day, he's, like, up moving around. The same thing is going to happen. But it could be that maybe while Loki's down, for the count, or maybe while he's still chained up, maybe Hajrudin will have to use it. Maybe he'll be entrusted with it or something like that. I think that would be kind of cool. Yeah, I actually like that the more I think about it. And it's tough because... I think the fact that Oda's introducing this really is going to make people want it to be for Usopp, which I get, and I think Oda could do that in a way that works. But it happening for Hajrudin would be... I think that would hit really hard. Like, seeing Hajrudin, like, have a flashback of him struggling to pick up Ragnar when he was younger, and Loki, like, holding it over his head. Like, the only people who can use it are the ones who can pick it up. Like, you got to be strong enough to swing it, whatever. I think that would be really cool for Hajrudin to kind of surpass that in the mock Vice fight, to be helping, because that's how Oda foreshadows, like that's how he's the 5D chess kind of genius that he is. So I'm all about that, JR. That is a great idea. Trevor Verge's art, my guy with the $5 super chat, artist for the channel. Trevor, thank you very much. Killingham is straight broken. What the hell? Got here late. Hope you enjoyed the chapter. Oh, I very much enjoyed the chapter, Trevor. Very, very much. You and I will probably have to talk about some redacted art at some point. I don't know what I'm going to pick yet, but I definitely want to do a redacted video on this. But I know you and I also got to get the mural thumbnail done. But regardless, yeah, this is, this was just an insane chapter. Like, so many theories to pull out of it, or like, theories, yes, but even just like general discussion things. Like, I definitely want to talk about Summers and his fruit. I definitely want to talk about Killingham and his fruit. Definitely want to talk about, all the stuff that happened. I feel like a million different things kind of moved, even though it was pretty much 2 main scenes. The kid situation. We got the kid situation, then we got the God's Knights, and then we also got Loki. So I guess it's 3. But regardless, there's like a lot of different elements that are growing at the same time, and yeah, this is crazy. Killingham's powers are just insane, dude. I am honestly kind of surprised that Oda would make a power this broken, and I don't mean broken in the sense of strength, because like we saw, like the food has no calories or whatever, so it's like not real in some way. So Oda's obviously going to have a little bit of like he's making it seem unbelievably powerful right now, but it's not really. Like, there's going to be like a way to get around it. But the fact that he literally made a power to bring dreams into reality, like, not even in a roundabout way, because like, you think about Luffy, like, he brings dreams into reality by like working really hard and beating the bad guys and going for it and being your best self, like those kind of things that realistically bring dreams into reality, right? Like a kid growing up, if your dream is to go be a pro basketball player, okay, you can make that happen if you go work really, really hard and get lucky on your genes. Because you got to be like minimum 6 foot, but preferably like 6'4" plus, whatever. You guys know what I mean. Like there are ways to make dreams happen by hard work, but Oda literally made a power where a cloud pops up whenever you fall asleep, and the guy can pull your dream out. And so I think this has big implications for Blackbeard. I mentioned that at the start of my last video, and I do want to do a video on that, but I think I probably need a couple more chapters to really feel ready for that one. But I mean, Blackbeard doesn't sleep. He's the dream guy. Like, why do we think that connection is? I think it's because if he falls asleep, then his nightmare or his dream or whatever will come into actual reality. And that might be how Shanks got scarred. Like, I think that, and that's also why Shanks or Shamrock, like that family is also tied to the Gods Knights. It's like, look, one of the Gods Knights literally can do this. You know, I bet you Blackbeard can do something similar. Like, I'm not saying he has obviously this fruit, obviously, or that he even has a dream-related devil fruit, but there's gonna be something there. Like, there's the way that Oda weaved that together is almost too obvious. So yeah, it's crazy. It's a crazy power. Knack reacts again with the Canadian 279. Who you think Mosa is now? I have not thought about this at all, to be honest with you. Like, outside of the first like couple chapters I think Mosa was only mentioned in one chapter, right? Regardless, though, back whenever that happened, I have not thought about that at all. Since the Gods Knights went and interrogated Loki right after that, it makes me think that Mosa is not someone who ties to the Gods Knights at all, because then they would have known. I think it could be... I mean, it could be Scopper, which, like, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but, like, Scopper has the beard like that, and I know that transponder snail was, like, the winter-resistant one, and so regardless of what the person looked like, it may have had a beard anyway, because that beard was keeping it warm, so that may not be a hint, or maybe it is. I think it's kind of 50-50, but Scopper would have the right kind of beard, kind of, for that, but I don't know why they... I mean, I don't know, because I guess Scopper would also kind of be in a little bit mysterious, right? Whenever he told Luffy, like, hey, if you're still alive at the end, come find me, kind of thing. Like, it seems like he's got some interesting connections. So he might just be like the easy answer, but otherwise, I really don't know. I don't know. I'm down to hear any of your guys' thoughts. I mean, because I feel like if it was a God's Knight, or like maybe like the new head of the Gods Knights, since Garling, I presume, wouldn't be Supreme Commander anymore. It's probably Shamrock, but regardless, it could be maybe the new head of the Gods Knights. But then again, the Gods Knights went and interrogated him. Like that, I feel like that connection feels weird. Like, I don't know. I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say. CB Maddie. The salt panel makes Ange even more sus. Hold on, let me go. Wait, how? Wait, hold on, how? Oh, I love the Ange. I love the Ange theories, but how does the salt one make Ange look more sus? I'm curious. Could you please explain? Because you know, if you've watched the redacted videos, you know, I love talking to Sai about his Ange agenda, and I don't think it's going to come true, but I do think it's just one of the most interesting, interesting and funny agendas that's out there right now. And it was really funny. I wish my last redacted video didn't have the audio messed up, because I talked to Kev about the Ange idea, and he knows about it, so it wasn't like the first he heard of it. But it was funny because he was like, no. And I said the same thing, but then I was like, but what about this and this and this? And then by the end, we're like, all right, maybe. And I don't know, it's just one of those things that seems so crazy, but it's just, I don't know, you find reasons. Well, if you could let me know in the chat, I'll definitely, I'll come back to it. I'll try to keep an eye on it, but I don't know, it's just, every Ange theory is hilarious. Also, Time Lord, I just saw you donate some bits over on Twitch. I'll get to that in just a second. real quick, it's your boy Vex is a lurking legend with the member for 21 months. Vex, thank you so much, my guy. Ted Crew has been saying... Oh, wait, sorry. Ted Crew has been saying that Loki was framed. I almost added the emphasis on the wrong word. Shout out to the Ted Crew. Yeah, the Loki getting framed is... Well, yeah, I want to... Because, like, getting framed, and not... And I'm not trying to get into too semantics on your comment specifically here, Vex, but just... I guess just to throw it out there, you know, not to be too pedantic, but like if somebody's gonna get framed, that would more so imply like somebody, you know, did it all on purpose, like they killed him and made him look bad, like they did it on, like, you know, like it was like a plan to make Loki look bad. But I also could see a situation where it's more like it wasn't even necessarily that they framed him on purpose, but it might just be like, what if they wanted to kill Harold just for some other reason, and they did, but then Loki walks in afterward. And then everyone sees that scene where Loki walks in and they're like, oh, it has to be him. So then he's not really framed. He's just getting blamed for the wrong thing. Again, not trying to be too pedantic, but because I think it changes the paradigm. Because like if you say framed, that might mean the God's Knights wanted him to get locked up and wanted him to look bad. Or it might just be an unfortunate series of events. Or it could be Loki taking the fall for somebody on purpose. And so I think there's a lot of fun ways it could come into fruition. But getting framed is definitely a good possibility that, you know, somebody literally wanted him, like purposefully did it all in a way to make him look bad. But I think there's also a good chance it could be just happenstance that he just, you know, was unlucky and got blamed, or that he did it on purpose. I think all three are kind of likely. But framing's definitely on the table for sure, and stocks are way up on that at this point for sure. Lucky Beetle with the $2 super chat. Blackbeard matchup videos, Luffy, Robin, Nami, Jinbei. Are you asking me to do those? Is that the request here? Or are you asking me to tell you what the takes are? Because I will say the Luffy and Blackbeard video will be the last one I do. And I'm kind of glad that I've taken my time, because now that I see this dream stuff with like this power, that's really going to make that video so much better. Because oh, I don't even know. I haven't really worked on that script, but I've wrote down a few ideas of like, oh, make sure to mention this comparison or this comparison, because Luffy and Blackbeard are obviously two sides of the same coin. I think you guys have probably heard that phrase a million times, but I really want to use that video to really just break down every single way that they are and the way that they will be as the story goes on. And having this type of fake dream reality thing happening, I think that's like just such a perfect segue, because like I said, with Luffy being the guy who brings dreams into reality in an actual truthful way, and then Blackbeard potentially doing it in kind of a fake-ish way, or maybe leveraging his dream in a fake-ish way, because like if he can literally bring his dream to reality like these kids are with their nightmares, like that's almost unfair compared to Luffy, who actually has to work for it. And anyway, that's a whole discussion for later. But I did do Robin's video. I kind of disguised it as a different video. Maybe I should just redo the thumbnail or something, or I don't know, maybe I can redo it in the future. But I did do that one. It's the one where I can't remember even what I titled it or whatever. It's over a year old though. But I think she's gonna fight San Juan Wolf, because basically he is also a non-ELBAF giant like Saul is. So him and Saul are probably gonna have somewhat similar, I don't want to say origins, because they're from different seas, but they probably have similar opinions of ELBAF people, which at this point, Robin's going to have a pretty strong feeling about that situation from ELBAF because of Saul and stuff. So I think that hits. But also, you know, other than Luffy, Robin is the only Straw Hat that could become a giant, right? Because of her, you know, she has like the, you know, the flower fruit, but she can bloom giant versions of herself, like we saw with the demon form, right? So she can also do that. So I think that could be fun. And then the Nami video is the next one that's coming out, the next matchup video. I got to get the mural video out this weekend. I am trying to not think about anything other than the mural video until that one's released. But I think the Nami video will be the one after that, I think. I really want to get that one done. And then the Jinbei one I also did. I have Jinbei facing off against Avalo Pizarro. And that's because, well, I think the simplest way is that you're going to have the Fishman facing off against the Island Man, which I think, you know, the the fishmen have been cast to the bottom of the sea, you know, to live in the ocean. Like, they're not really welcome on land. They're kind of, you know, taken advantage of. And then for a guy to have an island fruit, kind of like the embodiment of being up on land, because if he goes in the ocean, he's going to get cooked. Because, like, not only from a devil fruit perspective, but, like, that might be how you defeat Pizarro, is somehow knocking an island into the ocean. And there were some other cool angles there. Like, Avalo Pizarro is like a cat guy, right? He's like, he says meow at the end of his sentences. Like, it's like his, I don't think honorific's the right word. What's the right term? Whatever it is. He says meow a lot. He's like a cat aesthetic to him. And cat versus fish is like a super old trope, right? And Jinbei already fought a cat person in Who's Who. Jinbei's first fight as a member of the Straw Hat crew was against a cat fruit user. So to have him then go and face a cat aesthetic guy, I think that makes sense for his final fight. Not saying that there's not other good possibilities for Jinbei, because I think Jinbei is a tough one because he's obviously the newest member, so I think he doesn't have quite as much kind of deep emotional buildup over the course of the story. We have less like fights to look at to compare for the future, but I do think that one fits pretty well. But yeah, the Nami one will be out. I don't know. I feel bad giving timelines because I never meet them. And then I'm like, should I even give the timelines? But then if I don't give the timelines, then you guys, I don't know. I don't know if you guys might think I'll never make a video again. So a couple weeks for Nami in Vasco. That's who I think she's going to fight, is Vasco Shot. A little bit of a spoiler, but if you've been around the channel, you would already know that. And I think that one is going to be a really good fight. I'm still working on it. I don't want to spoil too much. I'm still working on it. There's like one part of it that I can't really figure out. And I have asked some people, hey, do you have any thoughts on how this could connect? And I haven't really gotten any great answers on like a couple specific points. But a lot of it is already kind of scripted. So that one, honestly, is kind of far along. So maybe that will be out sooner than I think. I'm going to look at the comments real quick just to see if you guys were saying anything. Geez. My voice is like... I can tell right now, guys, that my voice is actually going... Like, it's not just that... Like, I need to cough or go drink some water. I feel like I'm actually getting, like, a... I don't even know. I don't want to say, like, an infection. I don't know if that's the right... I don't know. You know, I'm not going to self-diagnose myself, but I got something going on. I can tell you that by tomorrow, talking is going to be kind of hard. So I need to go record the rest of the mural video very soon. Okay, Lucky Beetle, I just saw some of your chats in regards to your super chat. Hopefully I answered everything. Oh, okay, you just sent another one, but I'll read that once I get to Time Lords. But hopefully I answered your question right. I see you were responding a little bit. Oh, CB Maddie also, you said he put the idea of salt in his mind, like Ange put the idea of fears in their children's mind. Okay, see, that's what I'm talking about with the Ange agenda. That's the exact kind of stuff I'm talking about, where I say the Ange traitor agenda, it sounds so crazy and it seems like there's no evidence. And then you hear a little bit of reasoning like that and you're like, all right, Ange is the one who did that. Like, if these kids weren't drawing those things that day, these things may not be here because they're the drawings. They're not the kids' nightmares specifically. They're the drawings. So see, it's stuff like that where I'm like, Ange, is it just a coincidence? Is it really just a coincidence? It is weird. And like you said, Ange talking about fears today of all days. Look, all I'm going to say is you heard it here first. Actually, you heard it from Sai first, but you heard it here after Sai first. Colin, you said Robin versus Wolf would go so hard. I hope you like that one. That Robin, you know, on my Blackbeard matchups, I'm nearing the point to where I'm 100% locked in on all of them. I usually don't do the video until I feel 100% locked in. But Robin versus San Juan is a like 100% locked in thing for me. Also, another thing I didn't say about that fight that I just want to mention now, because we got a reveal after the video came out. We got a cool reveal that makes that argument even better. But the one thing about San Juan Wolf that ties directly to Robin is that, where did she spend her time skip at? Tequila Wolf, which we also know there's Bourbon Wolf and Vodka Wolf and Rum Wolf. So we know there's 4 wolves around the world that we don't know why they're called that. But then we have San Juan Wolf over here as well, right? And also, don't forget, we did have Mr. Wolf here on ELBAF. Remember the guy who got hit by all the thorns? His name was Mr. Wolf, so I don't know if he's related to San Juan. I thought that was crazy. But regardless, but not that San Juan's last name isn't Wolf, or it shouldn't be, right? Because usually the last name's first, like they flip it. So it should be Mr. San Juan. But regardless, I don't really, who knows what Oda's doing? I don't know. But regardless, yeah, so since there's these 4 wolves and Robin spent her time skip at one, what I'm wondering is if San Juan was born on one of the wolves, and that's why he's named San Juan Wolf. That's part of my theory on it. Oh, okay. Well, Kanu, I just looked back to go see your comment, and I just scrolled down, and I see you have another comment, and you said, and she went to Tequila Wolf. So yeah, that was in the video, but regardless, you're cooking. You said that before I did here, so you're cooking. Yeah, she spent her time saving Tequila Wolf. So I'm wondering if San Juan walked away from whatever wolf he was born on, because in my video, I theorized that it was, Tequila Wolf, because that was the only one we knew about. And I broke down, Roger's journey, because in Roger's journey, it didn't really make sense that he would have saw Tequila Wolf with where he was going, but maybe that was a different one. I think Oda even brought that up in an SBS, I think. I can't remember. I know we talked about the wolves in some capacity recently, but yeah, because remember, San Juan's so big, because part of it's his devil fruit, but he's also just massive. And so I don't, maybe he did get big enough just to walk away, and I think that would be hilarious. And that could also be why he got locked up and impelled down. What if he was born there, walked away? They're like, oh, one of the slaves got away, like lock him up. Oh, we can't even really have him work because he's too big. I don't really know. Or he could have been recruited to work on one of the wolves because he was so big that he could, be large enough to work on things while standing in the water. It might make it a lot easier to like put the parts of the bridges that go into the water down. Like maybe you can hold it while they fasten it together or whatever. Because he did have the fruit. I'm pretty sure he had the fruit even before he went to impel down. So yeah, all that could connect potentially. And then Time Lord, let's go ahead and get to your donations real quick. You did 2 69-bit donations, so double nice. Creating stuff from dreams, like Luffy did on Egghead. Yes, sir. Like the holograms, pretty much. I think that's what you're talking about. Because I know some people say that him pulling the stuff out of the hair is like creating stuff from dreams. Personally, I think that the stuff in his hair is just steam, or he has steam around him, and he's just manipulating that. That's my personal take on it. I don't think he's making stuff come out of nowhere. And also, like here, he said the salt had 0 calories, and I'll read the rest of your comment in a second, but I just want to mention this. On, remember the food machine on Egghead? Did that food machine actually make the food, or were those holograms of the food that they like turn physical, or like did they use light to make it? Because that machine, I can't remember what they said, but like, you would have to have all the ingredients in there like a machine. And so I'm wondering how they had the infinite food machine, because now that they're doing, and the reason I bring that up is just because here they're making food, right? And they're saying it's 0 calories. And I just think that's really interesting that Oda has had 2 different kind of, I don't want to say inventions, because I don't know if devil fruits are an invention, but 2 different methodologies for making food, and this one's like not real, but obviously Egghead's was, because Luffy got calories from it, right? He ate it and got energy from it, so we know that food was real. But I just think that's interesting that in 2 arcs where we talked about what's real and not, food was a massive part of that situation, right? So anyway, I just wanted to mention that. But then you said also on the Sleeping Beauty stuff, the villain was Maleficent, a woman who could turn into a fire-breathing Western dragon. So I'm gonna keep reading again, but you're cooking too much, so I got to stop and say something real quick. You also said maybe Emu has the Western dragon fruit. All right, I'll stop there because you're cooking again. So about Maleficent, if I'm even saying that name right, because I've never seen the movie, to be honest with you. I am not a Disney guy. I think that's Disney, right? I don't know. I'm not a. When I was a kid, I was watching Space Jam. I was watching James and the Giant Peach. I was watching Lion King, I'll be honest with you. My parents probably watched Lion King like 100 times. But, so I haven't seen a lot of those, but I do know that I've seen dozens at this point, I would say, One Piece theories about Maleficent tying, the the story of Maleficent or whatever tying to One Piece, partially through the lens of what I was talking about earlier with like Alice in Wonderland and these other Disney or like these other story connections or like Wizard of Oz type stuff. I've heard of Maleficent potentially being an Emu parallel, like through a lot of different lenses, not specifically this Sleeping Beauty one, because obviously that just got introduced this arc. But I have heard that a lot before, so I think you're cooking to a massive degree with that. So maybe Emu has the Western Dragon Fruit, which I agree with. And also that's why we see a Western dragon on the mural at the top of the tree, in my opinion, because Emu is now at the top of the Eve tree, presumably, and Emu probably has a Western Dragon Fruit. Anyways, Maleficent was based on an evil fairy godmother in the source book. Emu being an evil wishmaker and big fire-breathing serpent makes sense. Oda does love Disney. Oda does love Disney. Absolutely. And, oh, no, sorry. There we go. So Emu being an evil wishmaker and big fire-breathing serpent makes sense. Oda does love Disney. So I think, you know, and so and I don't even want to call it pushback because I think that's where Oda's going. But like here, even with Killingham's fruit, he doesn't really get to make dreams come true, right? It's like it's almost like a hologram, like I was saying before, right? Where it's like, is it real? Is it not? Who really knows? And since it doesn't have calories, I would say it's not really real, but they can taste it, so it's real enough. So it's an interesting paradigm. And I think Emu is going to be a similar thing where, like, it will be real, but how real? Like, is it the realest kind of real? Because, like, you know, like a hologram of me versus the actual me. Like, I would argue, maybe I'm wrong, maybe Atlas knows more than I do, but I would argue that I'm realer than the hologram version. Even if the hologram version looks like me and sounds like me, I am the original. I am blood and flesh and all that. So I think that's kind of where Oda's going to be going with it is, you know, these different powers are going to be bringing imagination to life in different ways. And I don't think any of them are going to be quite literal, but they will be close to it. And I would imagine Emu's will be even closer than Killingham's is here. But yeah, I don't know. Oda's cooking and you're cooking. I think the Maleficent parallel is really good. That might be even worth a video. You know, not saying that I'm gonna do it. Maybe if you guys really want me to, maybe I will. But I know there are videos about it, and I would definitely look at those. But I think somebody should definitely jump in and do a Sleeping Beauty Disney type video ASAP. And I mean, maybe it will be me. Do you guys want that? Do you guys want a Disney video? Is that something you guys would be interested in? Steve Irwin 06, my guy, my cousin, saying, now that's appealing. I want you to do it. So here's the thing you guys got to know about Steve Irwin 06. All right, I've known this guy pretty much since I was born. Since I gained consciousness, I've known Steve Irwin 06. Not the real Steve Irwin, only Steve Irwin 06. And I know the one thing that I remember the most from a kid, well, he and I used to watch Yu Yu Hakusho together as a kid when I would stay at his house. So that's probably my oldest memory. But my second oldest memory of Steve Irwin 06 is how much he loved Kingdom Hearts. And so I know you, of all people, would love a Disney video relating to One Piece. I know you would, for sure, of all the people in the chat. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I will do that. I don't know. I would have to go watch the movies, and maybe that would make it a cool. Maybe that would make it a cooler video if I'm like, all right, guys, I watched this movie for the first time. I watched this movie for the first time. It just spoiled all of One Piece. That would be a good intro. Hey, Cliff just went running out of the room to go to the window because I think he heard somebody, and somehow in that process, when he bumped into my chair, I lost my flip-flop, and I'm trying to get it back on. There we go. The flip-flop is necessary. I gotta keep my feet on the ground, or else I'm just gonna lose it. Lucky Beetle, I will get to your super chats in just a second. Time Lords was first. I don't know if you guys can see it, but because he's over on Twitch, but his super chats were in between yours, so I was just trying to go in order. But I will get to those in just a second. Ridwan, you said the city slaves have similarities with Whole Cake Island's soul tax, Wano's fire festival, Dressrosa toys, and Moria's shadow sacrifice. Most of those have something to do with the souls. Yeah, that's really interesting. Because we've seen that a lot, I think, right? Where like people people have to give up a part of themselves to live in a lot of these societies, right? Or like, I mean, I hesitate to say that for Moria because like nobody really wanted to live there or whatever. Like Whole Cake, people did want to live there and kind of voluntarily did it. In other cases, it's a little bit different. But regardless, we have seen that kind of thing, and it like loosely ties to the soul. Like Oda has, you know, because you think about the shadow, that was called your second soul. You think about the soul that Big Mom takes. That's more so your lifespan, in my opinion, than your actual life. Which we know it is lifespan, but I just think there's a difference between your soul, like the 21 grams, and your lifespan. But then the 21 grams that we heard about, which I think is what Brook, you know, I think that's what left Brook's body and came back. That little cloud we saw, I think, is his 21 grams. That's something that was introduced recently in Egghead as another very important element to the soul. So that definitely Oda is dancing all around that for sure. For sure. If 6 was 9, we all have to give up a part of ourselves to live in modern society. Brother, truer words have never been said. Let me just say that. Truer words have never been said. That is, and that's sadly only getting more and more true as time goes on. And you know, this is not a politics channel, but we do veer closely from time to time. And hopefully at some point we all finally band together and make it so we can give less of ourselves. Because obviously, for society to run the way it does and to have these luxuries that we have, there's at least a little part of ourselves that's going to have to be, you know, used to build this, a great society. But I think what is being asked of us lately is not what we should be asking of people. So I'll leave it there. Hopefully we can improve it in the future, is what I'll say. That's where I'm at for now. Once I start the politics channel, I'll be here for 3 hours talking about that. Mainly our natural freedom as human beings. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yes, sir. All right, let me go ahead and get over to Lucky Beetle super chats real quick. How long have we been going? An hour and a half? Guys, I'm telling you right now, time does not move faster. Or wait, yeah, time. I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. I don't know. The time that time moves fastest is during a One Piece chapter reaction. This hour and a half went by in 5 minutes. That's what it feels like. This is a hyperbolic time chamber, kind of the bad kind, because like time is moving faster than I want it to, and that's not really what I want. I want time to slow down. But regardless, that's crazy. Appreciate you all for being here. Lucky Beetle with the $5 super chat. If Zoro and Nami meet Shanks, then Whitebeard, the only emperor they never met, do you think Van Augur could have defeated Perona, Sugar, Yarouge, and Enel? Okay, wait. I think these are two different thoughts. I thought these were like one entire, you know, comment, and I was like, wait, how do those connect? If Zoro and Nami meet Shanks, then Whitebeard's the only emperor they never met. I'll do that one first. So as far as that's actually pretty interesting. I mean, a lot of the crew didn't meet Whitebeard though, right? I mean, Jinbei obviously did, but a lot of the crew didn't. That's just all the more reason to eventually go to Sphinx Island. And if you've been on the channel, I thought that would happen before ELBAF, which I think still makes a lot more sense. But theoretically, it could just happen afterward if Oda wants to, because Sphinx is nearby, so there's a lot of ways that could happen. Because Luffy seeing Ace's grave, I think, is like, it's got to happen. But then I think, and the rest of the crew seeing Ace's grave, that's like a good sentimental moment. They can be there to support Luffy. But I think them seeing Whitebeard's grave would be really, really interesting, because they never actually met the guy. So that's really cool. I never thought about that. And then, do you think Van Augur could have defeated Perona, Sugar, Yarouge, and Enel? Perona and Sugar, absolutely. As for Perona, now the Perona part's hard because Perona's powers are so broken. But I'm going to go ahead and guess at this point, now that Van Augur has the warp fruit, he could just warp away from the ghosts every time they got close, so he'd be good. Sugar, same thing, he'll just keep his distance. Yarouge, I mean, look, I'm a Yarouge stan, so no. I'm going to say Yarouge is too much for him. And then Enel, Van Auger beating an L? For the story's sake, I would say no. But I would also say realistically he should, because I'm sure he has hockey. And warping will make it easier to avoid the lightning attacks if he needs to. And so if it's hockey versus no hockey, and Van Auger can be untouchable, he should win. But for the narrative's sake, with Enel being this almighty god, I would really hope that, you know, one of Blackbeard's underlings wouldn't be able to beat him. Just, I know we beat him in the pre-time skip and stuff, but like, and it's not like Van Auger has necessarily a defense against lightning. He just has to warp away from it. So if he does hit him with lightning, I mean, Van Auger's kind of cooked. So I would say I hope Enel wins. But, like, realistically, Van Auger should win, is how I feel. And then you also had another super chat, which thank you so much for your generosity, by the way. All of you guys, seriously. I say this every time, and I know it's kind of cliche, but, like, your guys' generosity, seriously, it means a lot. And I hope my responses, you know, make it worth it. I hope hope I am answering them well enough for you guys. But when One Piece ends, what will you do? Make videos about the other big three? I'll answer that one first, because I think the other ones are a separate thing too. Which I say this all the time too. I love when you guys max out your super chat text. You know, I do the same thing. You know, I'll type my chat out if it's too many characters. I'll get rid of like the apostrophes, then I'll get rid of the commas, then you know what I mean. I try maxing it out, so I'm all about it. But what will I do when One Piece ends? Man, you know, I think before One Piece ends, I will already have my next thing going. I don't know if it'll be on YouTube. You know, I want to make an NBA channel. I've talked about the politics channel, which is like I kind of want to do one, but I also kind of want to go like run for an office and actually go help people instead of, you know, being on the internet about it. Which, you know, not to make anyone feel bad. I mean, you know, it starts on the internet. That's where a lot of discussions happen. That's where the media is. That's where you guys get your information. That's an important part. But for me personally, I think I might be more so the kind of guy who's going to go like actually, you know, hear the complaints from the constituents and try to improve things. That's just kind of where I'm at. So hopefully by the time One Piece ends, I'm running for office, or I have an office, or maybe I do start a politics channel and that's what I do. Or maybe I just am doing NBA, or who knows? I don't know. The beauty of it, Lucky Beetle, is that Oda is taking so dang long to finish his story that I might be able to do this forever at this point. Who knows? You know, Oda's going so long, I might just keel over before he even finishes. So I may not even have to answer that question. You know, I gotta say, not that I'm trying to like flex on people, because everyone thought, like 90% probably agreed with me, but I gotta just say it. Do you guys remember approximately 4 years ago or 3.5 years ago when like the rumors started coming out that Oda's gonna finish One Piece in 3 years? Or I think Oda himself even said that, or I think he said 5 years, or I think it was 5 years ago, but then he updated and said 3 years. I can't remember what it was. But all I gotta tell you is that timeline was way off. Oda. I love Oda, but he should not predict when the ending of a story is coming, because he's not going to be able to. You know, and all of us predicting that when One Piece is going to end, you know, I think that's a really fun thing to talk about, and I want to do a video on that myself. But if your answer isn't, you know, really far in the future, you're probably going to be wrong, because Oda is pretty clearly taking his good old time. And, you know, I mean, I got no problem with it, but he is doing that. He's definitely, you know, if he said 5 years, 4 years ago, and I mean, there's no way it's ending in a year. If he said 3 years, 3.5, I mean, we're already past it. So, Lucky Beetle, you said, so no videos about Naruto or Bleach. Not from me. On the Redacted channel, you know, whenever I started that, the original plan was to cover other manga, not like super deeply, but like, I'm a broken record on this, but I really want to read Berserk. That's like the next manga that I really want to read. because I've never read it or watched it, or I know some things about it, but not much. And I want to like read through it, and then maybe I'll do some videos during my read through. Like, I don't know what good stopping points are, maybe like in between arcs or whatever. I can, you know, say like, here are my thoughts on it, or maybe I'll read the whole thing and just do a full analysis. I don't really know. That is kind of the tentative plan, although I haven't really done a good job on that. Because One Piece kind of piqued my interest more than any other manga ever has. You know, I have watched all of Naruto, and I really liked it. I've seen Dragon Ball, seen like half of My Hero. You know, I've seen a lot of these, but One Piece really piqued my interest to like an extreme level. So I think I gotta, ironically, I think starting an NBA channel would really help me do other manga on the Redacted channel, because it's kind of like I'm, you know, with One Piece videos, I know how to make them. I know I have enough of like a base level of information on those to like make a decent video most of the time. But for these other series, it's kind of like a daunting process for me, because I'm like, I don't know, like there's like maybe a lot of fact checking, a lot of like I'm just less sure of what I'm saying, or I'm not even sure if I'm convinced of what I'm saying, because like with One Piece, I know how I feel about the characters. I know the story like the back of my hand. For Bleach or new stories that I'm reading, sometimes it's just kind of like, oh, I really like this. This is exciting. I don't necessarily know why, or like what the deeper layers are. I really have to think about it. And so because of that, it just kind of takes a little bit longer. But like I said, if I did the NBA channel where I can start doing videos on something other than One Piece, so I just get comfortable with doing that, I think that would help a lot. So I don't know. Maybe. If you want to know, my favorite Naruto character is Might Guy, and I could almost do a whole video on him because I like Might Guy and Rock Lee so much. I could probably just talk about them, but you know, like just using Naruto as an example, even though I watched it all the way through, there's so much I don't remember, and there's so many times when someone brings up a reference and I'm like, I don't recall that, and it's just because I've only watched it once, you know. And so that's just what I mean. There's just a lot of I don't know. I know One Piece so well that I don't second guess myself about a lot of stuff, but I feel like I would about Naruto a lot of the time, and it's a little bit daunting. But Ridwan, you said it's already 3 a.m. here, so I'm gonna go to sleep. Good night, guys. Thank you so much for staying up late to watch this and being here being here with us for this chapter. Seriously appreciate it. I hope you have a great night. Get some good sleep, and we will hopefully see you in the next reaction, whenever that is. I don't know. I mean, next week for sure. I won't have time for one this weekend, so it will be next week. But regardless, Ridwan, thank you so much for being here. That seriously means a lot. K-Step, you said Berserk is something else. I've heard a lot of good things. I've heard a lot of good things and a lot of thoughts like that, where they don't say it's good or bad. They're like, oh man, you're in for something, you know. I know there's a lot of like gore to it. I know just a lot of just crazy stuff. I don't know specifics. That's just kind of what I've been told. And I've told the story a million times, but my friend and I made a agreement that he would watch One Piece if I watched Berserk, and he watched One Piece in like 3 months, and I have not started Berserk, and it's been over a year, and it still haunts me to this very day. But I will do it. Johnny T, if you're listening, which you aren't, but if you are, I have not forgotten. I'll say that much. I have not forgotten my end of the bargain. Steve Irwin, you said, even though I don't like basketball, I'd still be there to support you. Steve Irwin, see, that's why you're my favorite cousin right there. All the other cousins, which honestly none of them are watching, so that none of them will hear it, but all the other cousins are up in arms now. That's why Steve Irwin's #1 right there. Oh, Lucky Beetle, you said I didn't finish reading your super chat. Thank you for reminding me, because I did not. I thought to myself 4 different times, like, hey, make sure you go finish the back half, and then I just kept seeing other chats. But whatever, here we are. What if Kid didn't get betrayed? Do you mean... Oh, betrayed by Apu and Hawkins, you mean? At first I was thinking by his crew, because they gave up the poneglyph rubbings, and I was going to say, like, that is a betrayal, but at the same time... I mean, they were going to get cooked. But if you're talking about Apu and Hawkins, that's an interesting thought. That would be, and not that it's a type of video I would do, but I know that's kind of a popular genre, the what if videos. That would be a cool video for someone to do. Like, what if Kid never got betrayed? Because then you could probably make the argument that, you know, he'd be that much closer to Pirate King. Personally, I think Apu and Hawkins are scrubs. So I don't know how much further Kid would have gotten, because he got like the 2 other worst supernova in my estimation. So, I mean, so if that happened, he would not have gone to the prison, but he already had Big Mom's poneglyph rubbing. So my argument, what I would say, is that Kid would have already found the man marked by flames if he didn't get betrayed. That's my big takeaway. Because right after Wano, the first thing he says is like, well, we gotta go get serious about this guy. I mean, and it helps that he got, you know, the poneglyph rubbing from Wano because Law was being nice to him. So that helped his journey. But like getting the man marked by flames found is a massive part. And so I would argue that that's what would have happened. That would have been their next goal. Because otherwise they would have to make an alliance and go beat Kaido and get that poneglyph, or they'd have to find Zoe, which they don't even have any idea where that is. So that, I don't even think that's really, that would have to be something that's like a happenstance situation. But the man marked by flames, they at least know who has it, and they probably heard the same, you know, black ship legend and all that stuff, right? So I think that's what would have happened. They would have found him, and they probably would have gotten it, because while we don't know who the man marked by flames is yet, obviously I think it's Mass Deuce, but whoever it is, I don't know if they would be necessarily powerful enough to stop all 3 of Kid, Hawkins, and Apu. Maybe, because like I said, Apu and Hawkins, like, Kid's getting like literally the worst. Like, it's like they had like if you had a draft of the supernova, those would be the final 2 picks, are Apu and Hawkins, at least in my opinion. There's probably a good argument for Bonnie, especially now that we know she's 12 years old. Like, who would want a 12-year-old as their draft pick if you're trying to get like the best pirate crew or whatever? But also her fruit's broken and Bonnie's great. So Hawkins and Apu are the last 2 picks. And so yeah, man marked by flames. Because like, no matter what, they're not gonna be Pirate King. They're not gonna. I don't think they would ever be able to like defeat Kaido or whatever. But man marked by flames is legitimate, and then that could have led to a really cool situation where like they get that poneglyph, and then Luffy has to go defeat some of his contemporaries to go get it and prove that he's kind of the best, and not only defeat like one of them, but to defeat 3 of them. That could make a cool situation where Luffy shows how much better he is than his contemporaries. I think that could have been a pretty cool plotline. I like what they did though, or what Oda did, because you know, he had Kaido fall down and appear right in front of them to show that, you know, he got betrayed, which I think that was a hype introduction, if not my favorite introduction in the story. And then you also said Shanks still would have beaten his alliance. I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. 1000%. And it would have even been funnier, right? But now I will say there is the funny theory that Apu would beat Shanks because Shanks only has 1 arm, so he can't cover both of his ears. And as funny as that is, you know, Shanks would obviously use Conqueror's Hockey, the Wi-Fi Hockey. I don't know what it is, right? He's putting Apu down, no problem. Hawkins, I don't even want to talk about Hawkins. That man is a waste of space. He got beaten by Killer, which, you know, no disrespect to Killer. I like Killer a lot. But if you're a Supernova captain and you get defeated by an underling of well, Killer's also a supernova, but he's not the captain, so regardless, it's just if you don't get beaten by a captain and you are a captain and you lose, you're kind of a scrub. Like, in the dictionary, next to the word scrub, it literally says captain losing to a non-captain. It's literally, you can go look it up in the Webster's dictionary, I promise. Don't look it up, but just trust me that it's in there. And so, yeah, Shanks would have demolished him. 1 shot, too. Same thing that we saw at ELBAF. Same thing. Because think about it this way. If Kid and Killer can both get 1-shotted by Shanks doing that, and Killer beat Hawkins, well, we know Hawkins is getting waxed. And then Apu, to his credit, he does have insane durability because he took that slash from Zoro and kept moving. But regardless, he's a scrub, so. And then also, I just saw another super chat here from Mr. Bushido. Said, Ilva said to Ange that she was going to have nightmares. And I also want to mention that, for one thing, that panel where Ilva says that, is such like a cute panel. I just gotta say that I was reading the story, I was reading the chapter again the other day, or maybe it was during my reaction with Kev or something like that. But that panel where she says like I'm gonna have nightmares if I keep thinking about this stuff. It's just like, it's such a cute little panel. And then also to find out that she is Jarl's granddaughter. This girl is gonna be really important. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think she's gonna be really important. I think she might be the I hesitate to say the Isa of this arc, but I think she could be something like that, because Isa has like island-wide observation hockey, right? She has like special innate powers of some kind, and obviously it would kind of make sense to tie to her, because with all the Skypiea stuff that is likely going to tie to this arc, you know, bringing her back would make some sense. But I think she's going to be really important, this Ylva girl, for sure. The fact that she got singled out there with this whole Ange thing, I think is kind of important. Now that she's Jarl's granddaughter, that gives her some lineage importance. So I think she's going to matter a lot. But I know the fact you're bringing this up is because of the Ange agenda. And it is true. It is true that, you know, and actually, if you look next to that panel that I'm talking about, where Ylva is just, you know, looking like really sad, like that cute panel where she's looking up, like crying. You know, it literally in that next panel over, Ange is like smiling at her, like, oh, but these drawing exercises let your personality shine. It's like, it's, again, just pushing the Ange agenda a little bit. It's like she's telling her, like, well, I know this scares you, but I really need you to draw these things because these bad Gods Knights are going to come in and animate them. You know, that's how it feels a little bit, so. I don't know. The Angenda. The Angenda. Is that what we're calling it? The Angenda. It's growing. It's growing. Kanu, you said, gonna go to sleep now. Bye, everyone. Kanu, thank you so much for being here, as always. Appreciate you. And thank you for being a great member of the Discord. If you guys haven't joined the Discord, by the way, you guys need to, because we are getting close to 1,000 members, which is awesome. If you guys are, you know, deep into the Discord lore or Discord world, you know, 1,000 members isn't like the craziest number ever. Like, there's some that have tens or hundreds of thousands. But for me, I think 1,000 is pretty crazy, man. 1,000 for us to talk about One Piece together. That's awesome. And NBA basketball also. We have quite a few NBA fans that are in the Discord on the regular. So if you guys haven't joined, please do. It's a great place to talk about some One Piece. Lucky Beetle with the $5 super chat. Do you think Aramaki would have beaten the Big Mom crew that came to Wano? Okay, and the other ones are separate questions. So that first one, Aramaki would have beaten Big Mom's crew that came to Wano. Oh, wait, sorry, Mr. Bushido. I will read that one. I just realized I missed Mr. Bushido's second one. I agree with Summer. This game is too easy. Gonna answer that one real quick. I also agree, and I think that's why... after he said that, or I think it was after he said it. Yeah. Then right after he said that, that's when Gunko says Emperor Straw Hat Luffy is on ELBAF. I think that's why that happened, because this would have been too easy if the Straw Hats weren't here to save everyone. And I also want to mention this real quick. So I leave my push notifications on for comments on YouTube because... I mean, you know, I love answering your guys' comments, but I sometimes don't like scrolling through all of them because, for one thing, I'd be there all day, but also because there's obviously a lot of negative ones. So usually what I do is I just leave the notifications on, and whenever I get like a good one, I'll like whenever the video comes out, I'll go through and look. But basically, I leave my notifications on so I can respond to at least some of you. That's why I do that. And I left them on this week, which I try to shut them off whenever the spoilers come out, just so I don't, just in case I don't get spoiled. But I did forget this week, and there was one comment I saw. I don't know what video it was on. That's also why I do this, because if I do see a comment that has like somewhat of a spoiler, I at least won't know what video it's for, and then it kind of, you know, makes it so I don't get that spoiled. But regardless, I leave it on so I can at least respond to some of you. That's the main point. And I left it on this week, and I saw a comment from somebody that said something like, about this video, this whole theory was already proven wrong. And I don't know what video it was for. And they said something like that. I can't remember what the whole thing was, because I can, you know, with the push notification, I only get so much text because I didn't open it and read the whole thing. But I saw, it was actually multiple people who said kind of the same thing. They were like, by the way, this whole theory is already done for. And I was thinking coming into this chapter, I'm like, I really hope that's not the Usopp video, which would be really surprising that like in one chapter the monsters would get taken care of. But regardless, I was really hoping it wasn't the Usopp video that just came out. And thankfully it wasn't, obviously, because we were far from figuring out these monster things. But the reason I bring that up, just in regards to what you said, Mr. Bushido, is because, you know, where they say, like, it's too easy, like these monsters and all that. It is too easy, except the Straw Hats are here, and Usopp, who in that video I said is going to be instrumental to figuring all this out, which I think a lot of people agree with, thankfully. You know, you know, now's where the fun starts. If Usopp and the Straw Hats weren't here, then yeah, the Gods Knights would have gotten these kids, gotten out of there. Would have been no problem, no sweat. It would have been horrible, but it would have been no problem. But because they are here, and because those commenters who commented weren't talking about the Usopp video, or maybe they were, but they're just wrong. Yeah, that's where this is going, and it makes me wonder, like, how many. Have the Gods Knights been going around terrorizing places like this for a long time, and we just didn't know it was them for one reason or another, right? Like, because here, the Giants don't even know that it's them that are doing this, right? They just see these monsters popping up, and they're like, what the hell is happening? The kids, like, what? Oh my God. And then the Gods Knights are trying to just get out of here with no trouble, right? That's why they're saying it's too easy. And so I wonder if they've been doing crazy stuff like this, because, like, obviously we know about the cleansings, but that's every 3 years. That's like a different thing. This is similar to that probably, but it's not the exact same. So yeah, I don't know. I wonder how many games like this they've been having. But yeah, because of the Straw Hats, it's not going to be that easy. All right, Lucky Beetle, I'm back now to your super chat. Would Aramaki have beaten the Big Mom crew that came to Wano? So if you're talking. So it's a confusing question. I remember I had a debate with my roommate about this, where, like, would you say King and Marco beat the entire Big Mom crew? Like, would you say King beat literally the entire Big Mom crew? Because Big Mom was on the ship, so including the captain. Like, personally, I would never say that King beat Big Mom or that Marco beat the Big Mom crew. Because, yes, he kicked the ship off, and then the ship went into the water and all that kind of stuff. But, like, to me, that's not defeating in the way that we usually talk about it. We usually talk about it in terms of, like, you know, they actually overpowered you. Like, if Big Mom and King actually fought, Big Mom would probably win. She would win. I shouldn't even say probably. I just say probably because King, obviously, with his Lunarian lineage, is special. But Big Mom's a Yonko. Or she was one, I should say. But now if you... So if you're talking in that lens, then I think Aramaki would have beaten the Big Mom crew that came to Wano, because he probably could have done something like that, like knock the ship off, which, again, I don't really think is necessarily beating them. But if we're talking in, like, an actual fight, like if Aramaki and the Big Mom pirates that showed up to Wano, sans Big Mom, were fighting. So, like, you're saying Sparrow, Smoothie... I can't remember the Daifuku. Who cares about him? And I mean, honestly, Smoothie hasn't really done anything either. I do love Sparrow though. But if it's Sparrow, Smoothie, Daifuku, and that's mainly it, Aramaki's cooking them. And I'm not an Aramaki believer, to be clear. Green Bull is Fraud Bull in my mind. So I still would go Aramaki if that's what we're talking about. But again, if you're going to allow shenanigans like King and Queen, or King and Marco, then Aramaki could figure something out. Then you also said Straw Hat's last fights. Well, I'll answer that one last, because then you also say, I don't think Yarouge and Enel are coming until Laugh Tale. Trust me, Yarouge and Enel are coming. That's all I can say. I can't even... And you know what? If you want a reason why, if you want to know why Yarouge is definitely coming, I got a video for you. And it's not my video. No, not my Yarouge video, which I need to do an update to that video, by the way. I think I need to get ready. Whenever Yarouge pops up, I'm dropping in a Yarouge video instantaneously. I'll do it in a single day. But if you want to hear some Yarouge hype, um, okay, now I'm putting it in the chat right now. All right, so I did a video with Commodore Laz and King Recon, the coach himself, and we cooked on Yarouge for like an hour. How long is that video? An hour and a half. That video is an hour and a half. It's straight up Yarouge hype, and I don't just mean hype like, oh man, we love Yarouge. I mean, like, we're going into the theories, his ties with Enel and Burka and all that, how he's going to appear in ELBAF, and we really got deep into the heaven realm element of things, which is where I think we're going to meet Yarouge. And I don't really have time to get into all that. I'm going to save it for that video. You guys can go check it out there. But we were cooking in that video. That's all I can say. If you guys want to hear all the Yarouge hype, check that video out that I just put in the chat. I also pinned it. But that's just... that was a great discussion. That was it was so good to talk to some fellow Yarouge fanboys, because he's my favorite supernova. But then you also said, I will answer this part, Straw Hat's last fights. So in the entire series last fights, I think it's all going to be the Blackbeard fights, personally. And I think that is very confusing, because, you know, we're kind of still wondering, is Emu the final villain? Is Blackbeard the final villain? Will all of this come together, you know, in one fell swoop? Like, how is Oda going to organize it? It kind of makes more intuitive sense to have, like, the Straw Hats go to Laugh Tale first and maybe fight Blackbeard there, and then go have the world government portion in Marijwa, so they're two separate things. I think that makes logical sense, but I don't think that's what Oda's going to do. Oda said several times that, like, getting the One Piece will be the end of the story, and like the last thing, because there's no more journey after we find it. And, you know, we'll figure out how he does it. But I'm of the mind that the Blackbeard Emu stuff is all going to be like in one fell swoop, like in the final war. That's when we're going to beat... excuse me, when I start burping, you know we've been here for a while. That happens every stream. But I think the Blackbeard and Emu fights will be towards the end. Like, I think maybe we'll be fighting Emu in a giant war, and then Blackbeard will pop up during that and take Emu's powers or something, kind of like with Whitebeard. Like, something in that realm of possibility is what I think Oda's going to do. And so then I think that will let us have the Blackbeard fights as the final battles for the world, essentially. I mean, the Gods Knights might be battling like the revolutionaries, maybe, and I don't know. I don't know exactly how all of that would break down. But I think the Blackbeard fights, because like for Luffy, his final fight is going to be against Emu or against Blackbeard. It's one of the two. I don't think there's really many other options. I mean, maybe a combination of the two, like Blackbeard takes Emu's powers, like I said. And so if Luffy's final fight is going to be against Blackbeard, then I think the other crewmates have to follow in the same steps, right? I think that would make the most sense. So yeah, I don't know. So it's kind of tough. I guess I'll say if it's not the Blackbeard fights, then I mean it would probably be the Gods Knights. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, we got to see how many, because like right now, I think there was 9 Gods Knights in that silhouette, and there are 9 crew members, so that might match up well. But also, like, Shamrock is one of them, and I don't really see any crew member fighting Shamrock. I mean, maybe Luffy could, but I don't think that would be like an end of the story thing. So I think it gets a little bit messy. So I think the Blackbeard fights is a is an easier answer, but. Mr. Bushido with the €2. You said, did you see they are giving Loki whale blood? Now say what? Let me go. How do we know that? Hold on. Oh wow! It says it on the bag. Whale blood. Bushido. What a catch. I don't know if you caught that yourself, or if this is a theory that people have been talking about and you know, I just didn't catch it or what, but dude, you get a gold star for that one. Oh my god, wait, whale blood? For Loki? Loki just absolutely skyrocketed up my favorite character rankings. Is this Laboon's cousin? Is it Laboon blood? If Loki has Laboon blood, I swear to God, this guy, I gotta get a statue. I gotta get a life-sized Loki statue in my backyard because it won't fit in my house. Oh my god, he has whale blood. At least I think that says... that looks like whale to me. I mean, the official might make that a little bit clearer. But that says whale blood, yo. That is so crazy. I don't know what to think of that. I mean, whales are mammals, but like, I mean, I'm guessing it's because they need so much blood, but at the same time, you wouldn't think that a whale's blood would even work. Oh man, I don't even know. Mr. Bushido with the €5. He said, 1, Burka was on the tree branch that was cut down. In Skypiea, they said that Burka was like southeast of Skypiea, and theoretically, I've mentioned this a few times now and also in the Discord, so sorry if I'm repeating it for the 100th time, but I personally doubt that it would make any sense to, you know, if you're in Skypiea, which is on the other side of the world from ELBAF, and they say, oh, Burka was southeast of here, like, you wouldn't say southeast of here if it's across the planet, right? When I say southeast of here, you know, I got to look at a map in my head. You know, I'm in central Ohio, so I would say like West Virginia is southeast of here. You know what I mean? And even that, I really wouldn't tell you, because like if I'm talking to you in a one-on-one conversation and I say something southeast of here, you're more so going to think, okay, if I drive 10 or 20 minutes southeast, what am I going to find? And that's not West Virginia. That's like really far away. But even then, that might make sense. But if it's on the other side of the world, like I wouldn't say, you know, Africa is southeast of here. Like, is that true? Yeah, but like that, you're not getting any meaningful direction from that, right? And so again, it's you know, maybe the kanji is more forgiving than I'm making it out to be, or maybe like the Japanese, you know, explanation of that line just makes more, you know, maybe I'm taking it too literally, but that makes me think that Burka is close to Skypiea, or was close, because obviously it's gone now. So I would say probably not, but you know, I mean, honestly, that's something that Oda could end up retconning, because Skypiea happened so early in the story. Maybe he wasn't really sure how, you know, how he was going to do everything, and maybe it is that way, you know, potentially. But I would say probably not. That's my opinion. Usopp and Brook are still hammered, no pun intended. How useful can they be for this? Well, so one thing, Mr. Bushido, one thing to think about is, and I really wanted to bring this up in my Usopp video, but I was just really rushing to get that one out, and I don't know, whenever I think of stuff like this, that's like kind of wishy-washy, I never know to put it in the video or not, even though it is kind of interesting to think about. But, you know, Usopp being drunk could really help him in his ability to take these things out, because even when he was drunk and he was like who wants to pull Excalibur out of the stone? Like, for one thing, because whenever you get drunk, you kind of get overconfident in yourself. That's like, at least a lot of people do. And he seems to kind of be the same way. Like, he even hit Jarl's sword, and like he didn't really, you know, like Jarl was hurting, and Usopp was just kind of laughing, right? So I think on one level, it could give him the confidence to fight these things, which would be really cool. But I also think because he's drunk, maybe he starts drawing stuff for some reason. Like, maybe he wants to show off to some people, so he starts drawing some really good things because he's a great artist, right? And maybe because he draws these things that are like really high quality, then maybe those come to life and help him. And so maybe that's how him being drunk actually ends up, you know, aiding the Straw Hats in this situation. And it could even be that he's drunk, he draws something, passes out because he's drunk, and maybe because he falls asleep, that thing comes to life, and then now we have a fun situation. I brought up in my video that he might draw Soge King, which I still fully believe in, that we're going to have a second, well, I shouldn't say a second Soge King, because Usopp and Soge King are different people, of course, but, you know, I think another iteration of Soge King, so we have Usopp and Soge King in the same room, I think would be hilarious. So I think that's Usopp's angle. For Brook, I could see Brook, you know, getting into some soul shenanigans while he's drunk. Like, I'm not going to go as far to say that he would like awaken while he's drunk, because that, you know, usually takes being in battle or whatever. But I could see him, I don't know, maybe he just like messes around and sends like his soul somewhere as like a funny gag. I mean, he already has his skull on his crotch, so I mean, he's already all about that. So he's just, you know, having fun. So maybe he has his soul, you know, break out of his body, and maybe he goes over to the monsters that he finds and messes with them somehow. Maybe he scares the nightmares because his soul is there. I don't know. I think Oda's gonna have a lot of fun with that. I think them being drunk will help their combat, I guess is what I'm saying. JR Writer, I think you're the next one. Yep, 203 with the $5 super chat. Thank you very much. If we have Sleeping Beauty parallels, a prince woke up a beauty with a true love kiss. Maybe we get Scopper dealing with Summer's power on Ripley. Well, interesting. So I guess for there, you know, Ripley would have to fall asleep first. But if so, that would be that would be kind of interesting. That would like, and it would be funny to have Scopper here of all people in this arc. And also tying to that, like not even just a kiss, but it is interesting that Summers, you know, added the thorn thing because like you know, the parents can't go hug their kids now even if they wanted to, and if this Ripley thing happens, then they wouldn't even be able to kiss then Scopper wouldn't even be able to kiss Ripley, right? Because he would get hit with the thorns or whatever. Now he's strong enough and smart enough that he'd probably find a way around it, I would imagine. But that is interesting. I like the idea that a kiss could do it. Now I will say that like that would work well for Ripley and all that stuff. And I guess theoretically it would be okay if like the parents went and kissed their kids, but I guess I'm just trying not to make it too weird, so I don't know if it'll be kisses for everybody. But that would be kind of cool if Oda tied it in that way. Now I will say I think the main Sleeping Beauty angle that Oda's gonna take is that the kids have to wake up, right? Like they're forcibly asleep. And until they wake up, this nightmare won't end, so they need them to wake up. I think that's where this is going. And so, you know, like a true love kiss, I think that could work, especially with the true love part, because like if we're going with if the parents are going to go kiss their kids, I mean, that's like, they probably already do. And so that might help them. That might be why the thorns are so important, right? Because he can't let them get close. But I do think there's going to be, you know, kiss or not, there's going to be a point where the kids gotta wake up, which might involve overcoming their fears. So there might be an angle where we have to like go into their dream and help them in some way. I think that's kind of where this is going. That's why in my last video I brought up the Film Red parallel with Top Musica, because that was kind of what happened there, right? Where you had to have people in both worlds work in tandem, attacking the same monster to free everybody. So I think, and you know, Oda's definitely used movies as parallels before, and in this arc, Strong World and Film Red could almost, you know, merge together for this whole arc, as you know, to kind of bring that all into fruition. I just messed up. There we go. Okay, I accidentally I'm messing with this rubber band right now just to like fidget with, and I accidentally hit the back button on my mouse when I was doing it, and it moved it messed everything up basically. But we're back now. I can see the chat again. So yeah, I don't know. I think waking these kids up is definitely going to become a plot point. I guess that's where I'm getting at. I don't know if it'll be a kiss necessarily, but I don't know. Because I'm also thinking like, not that she's going to appear here, but you know, you think about like Pudding, who can remove people's memories. Like if we were able to like remove their memory of that nightmare, that's also like a fun angle to think of this. Like there's a lot of like mind editing, mind changing, mind controlling type powers right now, and I don't know. I think the best thing that Oda can do though is having them conquer their fear, right? Like imagine Usopp goes into Ilva's dream. Ilva is running from what was she scared of? Did she even say? I don't know. Whatever she's scared of. Let's say it's the dragon. You know, she's running from this dragon thing in her dream. And then Usopp comes in and is like, hey, you gotta be brave. You can beat this thing. Trust me. Let's work together. And then they do it and they beat it. And then she wakes up and the dragon disappears in real life because they beat it in the dream. So, you know, I think that's the coolest angle to me, I think. Mr. Bushido with the €5 super chat, and then after this, I will get going because it's 2 hours and 10 minutes, which is absolutely insane. That is crazy. But this is gonna be the last one. Then we're gonna get going, so I can go get that mural video done because it is gonna get released this weekend. I am contractually obligated to release it this weekend, so it will be out. But Bushido, you said Polypede Works as a theory. And by the way, shout out Polypede Works. I have collabed with him a few times. He's great. Definitely go check out his channel. But he said he has a theory that Brook is related to Killingham. I believe Sanji. The Brook is related to Killingham. I believe. You said I believe Sanji is related to Sanji. I think you probably meant to say something else. But if whales are native to ELBAF, then they may be lagoon size. Laboon size. I'm sure you meant. So, but you mean. So you're saying. So are you saying Brook is related to Killingham? I'm kind of confused on the English here. Hold on. So Brook is related to Killingham. Are you saying Sanji is related to? Because you obviously didn't mean Sanji. I'm just not sure who you meant. But Brook being related to Killingham is interesting. I personally don't really see it yet. Because since we know that he has a fruit, that makes his form less like, you know, mysterious to me. Like, it's still a really cool fruit, but because, you know, now that the fruit's been revealed, I feel like he's not gonna be. He's probably just a normal dude. Well, like I say, normal dude. He's a God's Knight. He's a, you know, powerful, terrible person, but he's gonna be like a regular dude. I still think he's the masked guy. But if whales are native to ELBAF, and they may be laboon size, so that, I gotta say, that's interesting, because what if island whales originate from ELBAF, and that's why they're so massive, right? Because island whales aren't even, I mean, they're whales, so they're big, but they're like bigger than big. Like, they can have an island inside them. That's why they're named that. That's interesting. That the whales could be native to ELBAF. That is very interesting, and then that might be why they're able to use whale blood. And then if we're able to bring, I don't know, any laboon hype into this arc, because we also saw the whale on the mural. I don't know. I kind of like that. Laboons from ELBAF. That's essentially the theory now. Laboon is from I mean, he doesn't have to be born in ELBAF. Like, the, you know, his lineage, the other island whales could have originated there. That's really interesting. The more I think about it, I don't know if I necessarily agree, because, like, I mean, they'd be in the water. It's not like they'd really be in ELBAF, but they'd be close enough to where it still might count. I like that. Getting comfy. You said Thorns dude is awakened, right? How would he be able to put thorns on all those kids from a distance otherwise? Well, I would answer that two different ways. One, I would say I do think he's awakened just because he's a God's Knight. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a good enough of a reason, but I would just say, like, he probably is. I don't know if we've seen his awakened powers in action. I think these may just be the normal ones, but I do agree that he's awakened. As for the powers working from a distance, that would work regardless. I mean, we don't really know a lot about his fruit yet, but comparing it to other fruits, the distance doesn't really indicate that it's awakened, because you think about, like, Sugar, who was always really far from the toys that she turned into toys, and they still were toys, right? Or, I mean, there's definitely other ones. Or, like, Hawkins, once he turns you into a puppet, like, you're still a puppet. You don't really turn into a puppet, but you know what I mean. You turn into one of his, like, extra lives. No matter how far away you are, at least from what we can tell, it still works. So the distance doesn't really mean... like, some fruits have distance limitations, though. Like, you think about, like, Augur, right? After he left Egghead, or was leaving Egghead, still walking off the island, he said, like, oh, I can't warp us that far. But that's like a little bit of a different distance thing. But there are some limitations. But usually the powers, like activation, isn't distance limited in that way. So I don't think that would mean that it's awakened, but regardless, like I said, I do think he's awakened though. And I will say the thing that really confuses me about his powers so far is like the thorns were invisible, right? Like we couldn't see them. And even like when the kids are walking, you can't see them, but then whenever Saul walks up, you can see that like the invisible version pops up. So that to me is that's the weirdest part. I don't even know. That might be awakening. Like the fact that they're invisible. That's not usually awakening lets you affect the environments around you. Let you like share your powers with the environment around you. So this would be like a much different angle to take. But yeah, I don't know. The invisible part's very weird to me. Kuya Pixels, member for 18 months. Solid chapter, 8.5 out of 10. I agree with you. Also, Gunko for Nakama. Yeah, I don't know about that, but Gunko is definitely the least offensive God's Knight so far. I mean, she's going along with the plan, so she's still terrible. But Summers is off the table completely after a couple of those lines there. Gunko, though, we'll see. I don't know how many people have been talking about this, but Kev and I, in the redacted video that has been lost to the Void Century because of audio issues, we talked a lot about Gunko being Koala's sister and how it might be a situation where Gunko hates Nika now because Nika saved her sister but not her. And so it's like, why did this god liberate my sister but not me? Why am I still left behind? And that might be why she hates Nika, because Nika didn't save her. A lot of cool angles there. I don't know if that's like a popular theory right now. I have not really been looking at other videos, but I've honestly really been wanting to do a Gunko and Koala video. I can't be the only one who's thought of it, but I've been really itching to do that because I think the storyline there could hit really hard. It would be like what Shanks and Shamrock are, but the slave version, right? Because Shanks and Shamrock are basically what a God's Knight or a Celestial Dragon would be if because they're twins, but if one stayed in the Holy Land and one lived among the common people. Like we get kind of a juxtaposition of the two. And then Koala and Gunko might be that, but for the slaves, where it's like what one becomes if they get freed and what one becomes if they never get freed, right? And I think that's where Oda's going with it. And I kind of want to do a video on it, but I know I can't be the only one talking about it, so I don't want to do a video if someone else is, because I think it's I wouldn't say it's necessarily obvious, but it's I don't know. I just know I'm not the only one. There's no way. Kuya, you said Big Mama meme coming back eventually. Oh, Big Mama meme is coming back with a vengeance also. I don't know when. I don't know what Oda's like method of introduction is gonna be, because he usually does it in a really smart way. Now, personally, I think the Wano one was kind of a weak excuse, where Big Mom's like, oh, I don't like Luffy that much, so I'm going to go to your island, Kaido, and we're going to make this a 2v1. Like, I mean, I get it, but, I don't know. I always felt like that was a little forced, at least in my opinion. Because, like, we just had an arc with Big Mom, and then she immediately is coming back for the next one. So, I hope Oda can think of a good way to kind of weave her into this that feels very natural, because obviously she ties to the arc generally. That's going to feel natural in and of itself, but I hope her introduction happens in a way that's hard-hitting, that just makes sense and feels right, because she's been gone for 3 years now, guys. It has been almost 3 years since Kaido got defeated and Big Mom got defeated. Actually, well, no. Wait, I can't remember. Did Big Mom get defeated? Hold on. Let me look it up. I think it has been more than a year. Because she was defeated towards the end of the 1030s, right? I want to say. Yeah, she was defeated chapter 1040. So it has been more than 3 years since Big Meme was defeated. That's wild. Yep. That's crazy. Chapter 1040 was her defeat. And then she got sent out of the volcano a little bit less than 3 years ago. But regardless, Big Meme's coming back soon. I'm telling you. Oh my gosh. All right, guys. I think I am going to get out of here. I don't know if I missed any more super chats. I think I got them all. Also, shout out to Maxime Plocharski for subscribing. You did it. You probably aren't even here in the stream. You're probably watching a video and you subscribe. But regardless, thank you. So yeah, we are going to wrap it up. Like I said, mural video out this weekend. And it is a mural video because I'm breaking down the mural. But I just, you know, it's basically a deciphering the history of the One Piece world video. I am obviously using the mural. But I don't know. I feel like I'm a month late on it. And I just don't want you guys to feel like this is a, you know, I'm just waffling random thoughts about the mural. There's a lot of thought put into it, a lot of effort put into it. I do have a couple spins that I'm sure are going to be new to you guys, so I think you guys will like it. So make sure you guys check it out. It's over an hour, so if you guys, you know, need to wait a while to have enough time for it, I won't be offended. But it'd be great if you guys could check it out. But yeah, other than that, we'll be back next week. I don't think I have any other updates for you other than what I've already said. So yeah, I don't know. Keep an eye on the community tab for any other announcements. And I feel like there was something I was gonna say. Oh yeah, I just mentioned the community tab. We might be doing a giveaway this weekend, a TCG giveaway, if not next weekend. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. But otherwise, I'm heading out. I'm gonna go to El Taco Baleado, the taco truck near me. I love them. They're amazing. I'm gonna go over there, get myself a burrito, or maybe a quesadilla. Should I get a quesadilla? I don't know. I usually wait till I pull up and let the I let the taco truck speak to me and tell me what I want. But all right, guys, I'll catch you guys.